stage, and he did a great job for the team.
Levi Leipheimer, also of the United States, now the leader of Discovery, and Discovery, now wearing their new color of green, had a big day.
Levi Leipheimer wants to do a good prologue, set the tone for the first week of the bike race so his teammates have the morale to guide him through the first week of the tour and all the big field sprints. And Levi did a good ride, solid performance. Of course, didn't challenge for the stage. A little bit too short, a little bit too flat for Levi. When he gets to the mountains, I think he'll be flying.
After Leipheimer came across, all attention turned to his teammate, George Hincapie. Remember last year, he lost the prologue by less than a second.
I think that George has been training specifically for this particular stage because he was so close and he did not disappoint. He set a great time out there, took a couple of chances in the corners. Big George Hincapie coming to the line, just getting the better of Gusev and Wiggins when he finished.
Bradley Wiggins in Great Britain stopped everything to watch and see whether he could come through and create a British dream and claim the prologue in his hometown.
You can only imagine what the pressure must have been like on this man's shoulders, carrying the hopes of the whole country and the million spectators that were out on the course. And Bradley Wiggins did a great ride. I was very impressed by this man on the French Cofidis squad. Wound up fourth, just a tenth of a second behind George Hincapie.
You had to count the clock right down to the end. Andreas Kloden of Astana. He's supposed to support Alexander Vinokurov, but yesterday it looked as though he was making a statement for himself.
This is the biggest surprise of the prologue. Kloden absolutely scorching the course, finishing in a time of 9:03. That was 13 seconds faster than the current best time. Everybody grouped around the same couple of seconds, but Kloden blew all the times away until the last man.
Another man from CSC wearing the rainbow jersey as the reigning world champion, and he backed it up.
Wow, Cantilara, the world champ in this discipline, the time trial, has been on a roll lately. He won 2 stages, both time trials in the Tour de Suisse. He won the Swiss national title just a week ago, and Cantilara did not disappoint. An unbelievable performance.
That Swiss couldn't miss, and he put on the yellow jersey as he did in Liège in 2004. Well, here's how things wrapped up in the prologue and the standings presented by Michelob Ultra. Cantilara wins it by a dominating 13 seconds. Kloden a dominating 10 seconds over George Hincapie. Right there with him with Bradley Wiggins, and Vladimir Gusev of Discovery completes the top 5. What did you see after that?
Zabriskie solid in 11th. David Miller maybe a little bit disappointing in 13th. Good ride by Christian Van de Velde just to get through the prologue.
Now, again, often in the Tour de France, we talk about specialists. Some guys are great in the mountains, some guys are good overall, some guys are sprinters, and we'll be talking about that in a moment. Yesterday was a time trialing thing. Now, to guys who dream of winning this race overall, the yellow jersey in Paris, what happened yesterday? Did any of them take a big hit?
No, I don't think any of them took a big hit. Sastre was the slowest of the GC men. That's no surprise, but he is the fastest climber most of the time as well. Levi was solid. Frank Schleck was good. All of the GC men. Vinokurov did a good ride. Of course, Kloden did the best of all of them. That'll be good morale for Kloden.
Yeah, Bob, here's what you're talking about. Kloden is right there, 13 seconds, and Vinokurov. These are all very doable in mountain stages when a major collapse can lead to turnarounds of minutes. But we'll be keeping an eye on this, and we'll be keeping an eye on Fabian Cantilara as he wears the yellow jersey in stage 1. That'll take us from London here in Canterbury today, and I don't think there's any doubt that the sprinters are going to do the deal today.
No, I don't think so at all. I think that it's going to be a lot of breakaways, a lot of attempts for that, but the sprinters realize they only have a certain amount of chances in the Tour to win these stages. They're so lucrative. There's so much popularity for the event. They have to chase the breaks to get their men on the sprinting teams to the front just before the finish line. I think you'll see 3 or 4 teams coming to the front and sending men to do the tempo today.
We'll take a break on the Saab Tour pre-race show. When we come back, Phil Liggett and Paul Sherwen will join us to talk about what they think will happen today, and we'll make our Saab performance predictions for our Versus yellow jersey. This is the Saab Tour pre-race show. Stage 1 coming up on Versus.
The 2007 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Saab. Once you've built jets, you don't build just another car. Saab, born from jets.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on in the turbocharged 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi. With all the storage space you need, an estimated 30 miles per gallon, and a starting price under $29,000, you're closer to owning a jet than you think. Saab, born from jets. Log on to Versus.com/fly to the finish for your chance to win a 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi and a new Cervelo bike.
This summer, Versus is bringing the stars, the stripes, the painkillers. It's gonna be a red, white, black, and blue summer.
It's just something that you're either willing to accept or you're not.
The toughest athletes are gonna dish it out and take it on the chin. The competition is on, and the cost of victory is paid. The Versus red, white, black, and blue summer. The suffering continues.
Pain's a good thing sometimes.
All summer long.
We continue on the Saab Tour pre-race show. There are 21 teams in the Tour de France, and every single one of them has certain hopes. Some dream they can win the yellow jersey in Paris. Others think they want to star in the days ahead. Those are teams that have specialists. They are men of patience and power. They are the sprinters of the peloton.
When you're a sprinter, you think you're gonna take it easy, but when you see the finish line, you're just getting crazy up here and you have no fear. In your mind, you know what you have to do, which position you have to be in the right moment. Open the sprint and just go for it.
I like the speed very high and then just explode at the right time.
Tom Bohnen's sprinting style is a little bit in the genre of Pataki and Cipollini when he was riding. It's the sort of guy who, because they're big guys, they're like a longer, fast sprint with the speeds just building up all the way through it.
Beating Tom in a sprint isn't easy. You know, when he unleashes his sprint, he's just got so much pure power.
I was born as a sprinter, so I'm made to win the flat stages, winning a mass finish and a sprint finish. I describe my sprinting style as explosive, aggressive, but not over the line.
Robbie's fantastic at positioning. He's got the quickest punch sprint out there, and he's just a real fighter.
Oscar Freire, it's more like Robbie McEwen. He's smart, he's always finding good spots in the peloton, and he can sit on your wheel and just jump the last few meters before the line. You always have to get scared over Freire. He's a stronger rider.
It's a super talent. You see when he's coming to a race, he doesn't need much racing and he can win already stages or races.
A sprinter is getting crazy when you see the finish line. I think we all are the same.
It's sort of like an exclusive club, is it not? Sort of like, here are the Americans in blue, there are the Brits in green, but these guys take tremendous pride in what they do, and you wonder, why can't the guys like Boonen and McEwen do yesterday what they hope to do today?
Well, it's all to do with their body and the structure of the way the riders are brought up. Robbie McEwen, for example, whenever I see Robbie McEwen, he's such a tiny little guy. And I think one or two of those riders explained that Robbie's secret is the fact that he knows exactly how to position himself. He's got one acceleration in his legs, and he just knows exactly how to time it. Boonen, on the other hand, is a big, strong, powerful bike rider. He knows that he can unleash that power, but it's only a power that he unleashes over about 20 seconds. Yesterday was trying to unleash that power over 9 minutes.
It's time now for the picks. Some were victorious, some were not yesterday in the prologue of the Tour de France. Let's start things off with the Saab performance predictions. They are, of course, born from Jets. Phil Liggett nailed it. He got 4 points with the Fabian Cantilara. Bob Roll thrilled with his George Hincapie pick. Less than a second, however, over Mr. Bradley Wiggins, and Paul Sherwen was shut out. And so the response today has to come from someone who has the top pick. Oh, that would be me. And I'm going with the man that you just said is so slight, but he's so great, and he's a great guy, too. Robbie McEwen, you know he's going to try and restar in the Tour de France. Last year, he had his moments. He is a man who stands alone often. That green jersey is something that he targets for himself in the Tour de France, and I think he's going to do it. Anybody disagree?
No.
No. So you won't wish you had the number one pick?
Yeah. No. I think I'll take second pick today.
Yes.
I disagree because we were talking about power. We're talking about the fast sprinters. I'm going to talk about big Tom Bohnen, because the torpedo from Belgium, I think, is the man who's looking to get himself a victory before he goes across the Channel tonight and back to race on Belgian soil tomorrow. Big Tom has got the form. I think he's prepared specially for the Tour de France this year. And of course, the thing is, last year he had the yellow jersey. Wasn't really quite as fast. This year, I think Tom's different, and this finish is made for Tom.
Time now for a little nationalistic hit. You see, yesterday Phil could have taken one of the Brits to go on his homeland. He waited 35 years for the chance, but he doesn't have the choice now today because Bob has the next pick. Bob, what are you going to do to Phil?
I knew that Phil would take Mark Cavendish if he got to pick before me, so I went ahead and picked Mark Cavendish myself. He's very fast. He's a new kid on the block. He's a little bit cheeky, would you say, Phil? A bit of cheek to the man. He won a couple of stages of Catalunya already and the Schelde Race, and he's finishing here in Canterbury, so watch out.
It's a big advantage, Bob, because the Isle of Man, the famous flag, has 3 legs on it, so there you go.
So Mark Cavendish goes to Bob. Phil, that leaves you with the last pick.
All right, well, I had to pick last. You win, then you've got to go last. That's the rule. But on the other hand, I think I've been given a good choice. Daniel Bernati, he's old enough now to win the points competition in this race, and he said he wants to be evident every day. I might have picked him even if I hadn't have gone last. I reckon Bernati's going to be a good guy.
You don't think
he's
he looked
26
spent
now?
yesterday?
Not at all. He was saving his energy. He was one of the slowest in the time, so I'll wait for today.
All right, Phil and Paul will have the call of today's Stage 1 from London here in Canterbury, where they settled centuries before Jesus Christ was even born. Talk about history. And this is a place where pilgrims come to spend a day and revel in an important part of English history. This is Stage 1, and you're watching it on Versus.
The 2007 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Saab. Once you've built jets, you don't build just another car. Saab, born from jets.
Each of these little Cervelo innovations weighs less than 8 grams. They stiffen the bottom bracket, they strengthen the bottom bracket, they position the rear brake more aerodynamically, they optimize the rear wheel positioning, and they hide the cables from the wind. With Cervelo, small details make a big difference.
Your life doesn't have one dimension. Neither should your beer. Michelob Ultra. Rewarding taste that's made for the way you play. Live life to the ultra.
Visa PayWave. Now there are more places and more ways to pay. Faster. Life takes Visa.
Saving the world from evil is hard. Fortunately, saving time and money on auto insurance can be easy. Quote by print, instantly at Esurance. Take a fresh look at your auto insurance.
Visit esurance.com today.
Houston, we are on final approach to the easiest place in the universe to book a room. Touchdown. The Bodad has landed. Motel6.com. We'll leave the light on for you.
I know where he's heading. Don't worry, I'll be there.
Now playing at Sea-Doo.com.
While other kids were playing games, Jenny was building sandcastles. No one thought she'd ever live in one, except for Jenny. Go inside the world's most extreme homes. All new series. Mondays at 9 on HGTV.
Looking for your next home? Not quite what you had in mind? Visit homes in the newest communities across Colorado without ever leaving your sofa. Just press 888 on your Comcast digital remote. Then go to Real Estate on Searchlight 888.
Learn the most important reason. Buying direct, you can own a thermospa for only a few dollars a day. Call now and we'll include free delivery, free chemicals, and a $400 cash coupon. This $1,000 offer is free.
Call 800-477-3223.
Thermospas. Luxurious hot tubs made affordable.
Yesterday, they say 1 million people watched the opening day prologue of the 2007 Tour de France. One man at a time against the clock. Astana's Andreas Kloden blew past everyone's time and took an almost unbeatable lead against his rivals. It was all but over until world time trial champion Fabian Cantilara dominated the streets of London and proved to the world why he is the champion. Now he will leave London wearing yellow. Today's flat stage heads to Canterbury and will be a stage for sprinters to show off their stuff. Stage 1 of the Tour de France begins now on Versus.
One, two, 1, 2, 1, 2. Hello and welcome as we look here at the city of Canterbury now, which is waiting the start of the first stage of the Tour de France. This is a beautiful city. I've got nothing. Well, this is the map here, the whole of the route around France, of course, but the first 2 days have been spent very much around London. As we look here now, it's 3 weeks today before we finish in the Eiffel Tower. We spent yesterday in the Prologue. Today we're spending a ride of 126 miles as we leave London and dive south and west as we head out east rather towards the finish in Canterbury. 203 kilometers, no real hills along the way. Let's have a look at some facts for you. It's about the distance in San Francisco to Monterey in California, and it's the first Tour de France ever to finish in Canterbury. So there are 3 intermediate sprints along the way and 3 category 4 climbs. So we're watching now the start of what is a very special stage. These are the men we expect to be down in touch with the sprint at the finishing line today. Robbie McEwen, 3-timer green jersey winner. Tom Bonin, who crashed out previously, is looking for a big win now. And Thor Hushovd, who became the first Norwegian ever to take the green jersey in the Tour de France. Don't know whether he's sprinting well enough just yet, but he's certainly shown us that he wants to be in the frame here. 4 career Tour de France stage wins for him, and not least, of course, the Prologue in Strasbourg last year. Well, the green jersey competition is what we'll concentrate on in these early days. This is how it happens. You get stage points when you finish in the top 5 places. They're big points, but they go right down to 25th place, where you get a single point for crossing line 25th. And during the medium stages, when there's not so many hard climbs, you have slightly less points, but finally you get points. Very important to remember that along the way you get points 6, 4 and 2 at the special sprint stages, and that's where you can pick them up. There they are, first to third at the intermediate sprints. And let's go and have a look how the race has gone so far before I join Paul Sherwen in commentary. This was the start at just before 11 o'clock this morning in the city of London. That's Tower Bridge. The riders cutting the ribbon there, along with Ken Livingstone on the left, the Mayor of London, and the riders underway. And the famous British infantry there with the Busbies on, watching the race leave. A very, very interesting shot indeed. Saying goodbye to the River Thames. Cantilara, the winner of the Prologue yesterday, has the first yellow jersey as they made their way out towards the race start proper at Greenwich. And the riders then facing up to 126 miles. A big attack early on. David Miller making the move for Great Britain, 13th in the Prologue yesterday, quickly joined by a small group of riders, but at the start it was all Miller. Then we went to the first sprint at Gillingham, and it was here where Miller was still clear on his own by about a minute on a chase group of 4 riders. So Miller got it ahead of Grifko and Kuzinski. But of course the main field at this point 5.5 minutes behind. The catch then came as the riders came together in the region of Chatham in the Medway towns. Miller wisely waiting for these riders with a lead of 5 minutes on the field. And then 5 riders coming together, and again another sprint, this time at the village of Teston. The crowd's totally enormous all the way along the race. Miller getting the maximum points in the green jersey competition. He now has 12 points in that competition. All right, well now we can go down to the live action on today's route of the Tour de France. Well, looking at the riders here, Paul, this has been a most unique occasion. Huge crowds. The gap for the first time for many kilometres coming down a little bit. 4 minutes and 56 seconds. They're just pegged at the minute.
Yeah, I think Team CSC, Phil, have got this race pretty much under control. They're not panicking at all now. They know they've got 100 kilometres to go. They've got 2.5 hours of racing still under their belts before they can get themselves to the finish line, and I think they are fairly confident now that when they need to, they can turn up the screws and pull this race back together again.
Now the rider who abandoned, by the way, the Spanish rider Eduardo Gonzalo for Agri-Turbo, the first rider to give up the Tour, such an early stage. Apparently there was a touch of wheels, he did crash and he has injured his shoulder. We had no word of that on Radio Tour, so we're very sad for the young Spanish rider. In his first Tour de France, Paul, it's hardly started and he's out.
That's very tough indeed, because he'd only done about 60-70 kilometres into his first Tour de France, and that will be a sad day for him. The main field now going through the feeding zone, and you see our Team CSC all up at the front end of the main field. Also in the dark blue jersey there, not wanting to get involved in any possible accidents towards the rear, is Tom Boonen, being very attentive. That's a sign to me that the big Belgian sprinter is thinking about the finish. Cadell Evans also very close to the front end of the main field. I have to say, in the time trial yesterday, Phil, of all of the contenders, I was very impressed by the time trial of Cadell Evans, because Cadell is not really renowned as a prologue time trialist, but I think he's improved his time trialing a lot, and probably enough to seriously think this year about a podium position.
Well, around about 63 miles to go here, 97 kilometres or so. Royal Tunbridge Wells is the venue for the field. The leaders have passed through. They've gone through about 5 minutes ago. And the riders down there were being led through by Jens Voight, who was ferreting around to see what food they'd passed up there in that little bag, and enjoying the crowd. A tremendous atmosphere the whole route today. One big smile as the riders have seen huge crowds all the way along the route. 5 minutes still officially the time gap. The peloton, the yellow jersey and the green jersey, owned by the same rider at the moment, Fabian Cantilara, after yesterday's win in the time trial. So the face here of David Miller, who really was determined after his time trial yesterday. You may have heard on Versus him say at the finish, he didn't do a great ride, but he couldn't have done better, he said. He finished 13th in the end, but he knows now he can win a stage of this year's race. That's what he said, and today he's adding up the points in the green jersey competition, because with 2 sprint wins, he's picked up 12 points in the green jersey competition. But if the whole field comes up here, who is going to get the green jersey by the end of the day?
The 2007 Tour de France on Versus is brought to you by Hampton Hotels. Visit us online at hampton.com or call 1-800-HAMPTON. And by Farmers Insurance. To find an agent near you, call 1-800-FARMERS. And by Michelob Ultra. Live life to the ultra.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on in the turbocharged 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi. With all the storage space you need, an estimated 30 miles per gallon, and a starting price under $29,000, you're closer to owning a jet than you think. Saab, born from jets. Log on to versus.com/fly to the finish for your chance to win a 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi and a new Cervelo bike.
My computer and I go everywhere together. I keep all my photos in here. Design ideas are forwarded to me from Paris, Milan, and London. I love taking underwater photos too and emailing them to my friends. With my Happy Hearts Fund, we raise money online to rebuild schools. I feel blessed to have survived the tsunami so I can help others.
HP Pavilion DV2000T with Intel Centrino Duo mobile technology.
Sono Paolo Bettini, sono campione del mondo e campione olimpico. Chiedo il massimo dalla mia bicicletta. Voglio che sia ripida, leggera, bella e precisa, ma più di tutto che sia veloce. Questa è la mia bicicletta. I am Specialized.
It doesn't matter how fast you are, or how hard you've trained, or how hard you hit me. Because I fought you in my head 100 times before. and I win every time.
When I took the job, I had every ambition that one day I would rule the world. I had no idea that first I'd have to circle it. About 10 times. Making the sale makes me jump out of bed in the morning. I just have to remember where I am that day. I work because I'm driven. I work to close the deal.
Whether it's a job or a career, when it's right, it's a passion. Go to Monster.com today and find the job that works for you.
Monster works for me.
All across America, they're getting ready. It's the Captain Morgan Ultimate Pose-Off. Enter, and you can win an ultimate high roller weekend in Vegas. Go to CaptainMorgan.com to enter.
Drink responsibly.
Today we begin the official start of the greatest event in cycling. On the way, we will say goodbye to London and all of its beauty. Then we'll kick it up a notch as the Sultans of Speed rule the rolling terrains of Europe. With 3 stage wins at the 2006 Tour, Aussie Robbie McEwen is the reigning king of Terminal Velocity. On his tail will be the Belgian Tom the Torpedo Bonen. He's looking for revenge after being ousted by McEwen in last year's race. It's ready, steady, sprint, next on Versus. Yes, welcome to the Garden of England. That's what they call the county of Kent, and this is where the sprinters may yet have their day. Just now it's being spoilt a little bit by a breakaway of 5, which includes the British rider David Miller, and they've been in the lead for a long way now as we've gone through the halfway mark and the feeding station at Royal Tunbridge Wells, heading down to the beautiful city and its abbey in Canterbury. There is Miller in the breakaway. He was joined on the attack by a small group of riders who caught him: Kuzinski, Auger, Grifko and Bichou. And as you see, the latest time gap at 5 minutes and 28 seconds, but it has been pegged. And I think we'll see a big chase soon for somebody like Robbie McEwen to perhaps take out the sprint. Let's find out what he thinks. Here he is talking this morning with Frankie Andreu.
Robbie, you've shown some good form leading up to the Tour de France. How's your confidence for your speed coming into the end of today's, the first stage?
I think the speed's okay, but I guess we'll know for sure at the end of the day.
You've talked about just going for certain individual stage wins, but in your mind, do you have a little bit of focus or desire for that green jersey, and also with the Prologue, even maybe for taking the yellow jersey?
No, I got no ambition to take the yellow jersey. I mean, I lost 1:09 yesterday. I didn't push myself all too hard, just to sort of open up the legs and get the feeling for today. But green is an ambition, but not an obsession at the moment. I mean, you've got to get through the first week unscathed and take points every day, so just concentrate on it one day at a time and ride them like one-day races and try and win each day.
For today's stage, Cadell is the GC guy for the team classification. Will you have everybody's support for that finish stage today?
Yeah, I mean, I've got specifically Leif Hostin, Fred Rodriguez to help, and then a couple of other guys will try and help bring those guys to the front, and we'll have a few guys stay around Cadell to keep him out of trouble.
Best of luck.
Thanks, Frankie.
Thank you, Robbie.
Yes, Robbie McEwen's seen and done it all before here, so he knows what is expected of him now when he gets down to that finishing line. But he's got a bit of work to do yet. Just now, they're leaving it to work of CSC to hold the gap. I was just thinking there, Paul, that McEwen, who will want to win this stage, he'll be very happy that it's CSC, the hot seat on the man with the yellow jersey on the squad. He won't send any riders up just yet, so I think there'll be a gentleman's agreement, though, shortly, with all the teams who think they've got the winner on, to put men up in the chase, and then we'll see the speed go.
Well, we've seen Team CSC basically assume the responsibility of the race, and that's only normal. If you're leading the race, you have to do the bulk of the work, and they have done their job to perfection so far this afternoon. They've kept the advantage nice and reasonable. They've never really backed off the pace. They've kept a steady pace going throughout the whole of the race so far, and they will, I think, look to some of the other teams to come forward down towards the end, and McEwen almost certainly will send a couple of riders to the front, and I do think that Tom Boner will send 1 or 2 riders up there as well.
Here's a nice view of the freewheel down the hill here as we run down Colts Hill. I think this is 5:33 still the gap, and 94 kilometers or so left still to run to the finish here. So we're inside 60 miles now to the finish, and they're going to have to start making decisions as to when they are going to start the reaction to this breakaway. And Davy Miller will be hoping they'll leave it a bit too late, I think, as we get up to Goudhurst rather. That's another climb that Miller will look forward to there. And if he can just get onto that one and get the points there, that might be enough to give him the King of the Mountains for the day anyway.
For the day anyway, that's the important thing for David Miller. If he can just get that jersey, it will inspire him to try and keep hold of it for a couple more days, because it's not that mountainous over the next few days.
That's absolutely true. So here we are, looking across the fields of Kent as we watch the unusual descending style here. I'm just watching this one here because this is Christophe Lemervel of France, who is the rider rather painfully making the descent here down Colts Hill in the Garden of England, Kent. So as we watch back up with the leaders here, the breakaway at 5.5 minutes. I hope you're all taking part in our Saab Watch and Win sweepstakes. So come and join the competition. All you've got to do is tune in to versus.com, and today's keyword which you need is Fly Saab. Back with the group again, the main peloton coming back together again a little bit here now, so perhaps they're planning the next strategy. They tried to chase them down, they closed the gap, then it all went a little bit sour, they eased back, and now Miller realised it was worth continuing the push, and he stretched the lead out again. At one stage they came back to inside 5 minutes, now gone out to 5.5. Miller has won both sprints today, by the way. He won the first one at Gillingham, which we saw. He also won at Teston. He's outsprinted Andrei Givko in the King of the Mountains on the 4th category climb of Southborough Hill. Next climb will be Goudhurst Hill. So Miller's looking for the polka dot jersey today, I think. This is the beauty of the Garden of England. We're going to see a lot of this on the road to Canterbury. We'll see in a moment.
We love having you here.
Your life doesn't have one dimension. Neither should your beer. Michelob Ultra. Because you do more. It does too. Live life to the Ultra.
When I passed the finish line, I saw his blood coming out.
Yellow jersey has gone down.
I got really scared, so I just lay down on the ground, lift my arm up. That was a scary moment.
Hey! While other kids were playing games, Jenny was building sandcastles. No one thought she'd ever live in one, except for Jenny. Go inside the world's most extreme homes. All new series. Mondays at 9 on HGTV.
Looking for your next home? Not quite what you had in mind? Visit homes in the newest communities across Colorado without ever leaving your sofa. Just press 888 on your Comcast digital remote. Then go to Real Estate on Searchlight 888.
Get me a lawyer.
Patty! If you were a man, I'd kick the living crap out of you.
If you were a man, I'd be worried.
I know I sound paranoid, but you're the only one I can trust.
Patty Hughes has a new associate. Whatever it takes, fix this.
You must have seen something that they didn't want you to see.
Just keep her out of this!
Damages. Premieres Tuesday, July 24th at 10. Only on FX.
The country, dropping in on the biggest names in the business, searching for the next mixed martial arts badass. All new episodes of the original series from the producer of American Chopper and The Ultimate Fighter.
Where you live, baby?
Tap Out. Wednesdays beginning August 1st on Versus.
Welcome back to the Tour de France, saying farewell to British shores today. Once we get down to the finish in Canterbury, it's across from Folkestone to Dover, restarting at Dunkirk tomorrow, and of course, being the Tour de France, we're heading for Belgium. But today, massive, massive crowds. 1 million were the official crowd number yesterday. I think that was a conservative amount of people, and today there's been hardly a space along the roadside. This breakaway of 5 still clear. The flag of Great Britain as well as the flag of England with the Cross of St. George flying proudly here. But we've seen Spanish flags. We've seen the Breton flag flying down here as well. Brittany is where the race starts next year, by the way. And we've had our first retirement of the day as well. Eduardo Gonzalo of Agriturbel has given up. One man, though, who's not given up any hope of winning this race overall is Levi Leipheimer. Here he is with Craig Hummer.
Levi, how closely did your results yesterday match your expectations going into that prologue?
Well, it's, you know, not my best time trial, but I'm coming in this tour very fresh, so it's kind of what I expected. I didn't expect to be my best, and, you know, I had the sensations that I'm very fresh, and I'll get better as the race goes.
All right, good luck today.
It's amazing how they understand the messages that come from their body, isn't it? Levi Leipheimer knows the real challenge is 7 days down the road when he gets to the first big mountain. 6:02 the gap now. As we look here at the gap, 90 kilometers to go. And we've certainly sought out a beautiful course here, Paul, for the breakaways and for the peloton, who have gone out to 6 minutes. And the calm before the storm, it has to be, whichever way you look at it. Just watching Ogier again, sitting off the back wheel here to Bichou, the other Frenchman in the breakaway. Yeah, I think he is certainly the least happy of the men. It's got to stay away till Goudhurst, Paul, if Miller is going to get that lead in the King of the Mountains and stand on the podium in Canterbury. We've got to have a British rider up on the podium tonight.
Well, I would hope so. We're looking now at about 8 kilometers to go to the climb of Goudhurst, and I think they will survive with an advantage like this. I am a bit surprised to see the gap slip up towards the 6-minute mark.
Yeah.
But obviously, I still feel confident that Team CSC know what they're doing. They're a well-drilled squad. They're a squad of many great names and many great champions, as we can see them starting on the climb here.
Miller was on the banners all the way up the climb. They must have known something we didn't know today, that Miller was going to put in an attack right out at the start, as still the steady tempo. Just come inside as 6 minutes, but really they're both virtually riding at the same speed right now. And, you know, around these Kentish lanes, there are some demons, because these hills are short and sharp, and they don't all count for the King of the Mountains, so they don't note them on the plan. The next one will be at Goudhurst with 82 kilometres to go. So we're just on about 7 kilometres or so, just under 5 miles to the next challenge of the day, and Miller's up for it.
That's a good point you raise there, because the riders every night, they'll look at their race handbook and they'll study the course and try and figure out how difficult the course is going to be. But on a stage like this, there are only 3 categorized climbs, and the difficult thing about the categorized climbs is there are a lot of climbs out on these roads, these undulating roads in Kent, which I think could very easily count as a climb. Sure. Some of them are not even mentioned in the race handbook, and that's always a big surprise to the guys in the race when they get to them.
Yes, they're sitting along talking at the back, and suddenly they're out of breath and realize that the road is going up. But even down these back roads here, the enormous crowd, it's a wonderful sight. As we saw the papers this morning in London, all giving the sport great coverage indeed, terrific coverage. Pictures of riders racing past the face of the Queen's residence, Buckingham Palace, at the top end of the mall, where the riders went across and then swung round to the finish in the mall itself. It was quite bizarre at one stage when everybody was building the finishing line in the mall. The household cavalry came down to change the guard down the other end. So obviously nothing stops that, not even the Tour de France. At 10 minutes to 11, down they came. Changing of the guard takes place at 11 o'clock, and just after that they came back again.
It really was great to be in the heart of London, not only to see the house guards, to see the changing of the guard, but also to see all the wonderful monuments, which normally are really only the backdrop for tourist attractions. But this year, as a backdrop to the Tour, the Grand Départ of the Tour in London, it really was a great sight to see, and the weather turned up and was completely and utterly a rendezvous.
It was absolutely superb. There's Cantilara, who turned in one of the great rides of his career, I think, since he won the World Time Trial Championship last year, to win the Prologue and get the first yellow jersey. So as we look here at the peloton, continuing, and always under the work of the hardest worker in the race in the pro circuit, Jens Voight. He's like a one-year professional rider, 1 year into his career, because he never loses enthusiasm for the game, and he's a tremendously talented rider. Riding his 11th Tour de France today, Jens Voight. And he's worn the polka dot jersey once. He had a spectacular crash while he was wearing it too. He made a right-hand bend, except he didn't make the right-hand bend. He hit the wall, but he was unhurt. So, as the peloton continues to chase David Miller, let me remind you of something here. The Tour de France, Stage 2. Now, tomorrow, the race crosses the English Channel, and we start in Dunkirk, but we finish in Ghent, in Belgium, or if you speak French, Caen. It's another flat stage as the sprinters will battle it out for their podium, for their place on the podium. We're live, of course, don't miss us. 8:30 a.m. is the time, Eastern, with extended coverage, as always, at 8 p.m. And it's only right here on Versus, home of the Tour de France. And we're on the road to France tonight, and we'll be racing to Belgium tomorrow, so be with us. Robin McEwen, is it today or tomorrow? We're going to find out very shortly, I think, because looking down here across Kent, nobody can believe the weather. We have had the worst weather in Britain for 2.5 months. Houses have been flooded, the rivers have passed through the centre of cities. And here, as the race began, the sun came out. It is hot, there's hardly any wind, and the crowd, to say the least, are in their millions. And we're racing to Canterbury, but who's going to win when we get there? We'll know soon. We'll take a break.
People always talk about light. My favourite light is the first light of day.
Visa PayWave. Now there are more places and more ways to pay. Faster. Life takes Visa.
This is the final boarding call for flight 423 to Paris.
On va partir, mon amour.
Oh, ma chérie, ce n'est qu'un
Hate goodbyes? Get the new BlackBerry 8830 World Edition smartphone.
De rien.
From America's most reliable wireless broadband network. Fully loaded and ready to work around the block or around the world. Verizon Wireless. It's the network.
I know where he's heading. Don't worry, I'll be there.
Now playing at Sea-Doo.com.
It was known as the Tour of Chaos. This year, who'll get it back on track? Alexander Vinokourov, the most dangerous, determined, aggressive, and holding a grudge. Alejandro Valverde has all the tools to win it, if he can finish. Dennis Menchov, a good rider needs a great team, and he's got one of the best. Levi Leipheimer, new style, new team, and visions of a ninth straight American victory. The real drama continues. The Tour de France. Stage 2 live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. on Versus.
From a guy's perspective, it's very difficult to kind of verbalize some things.
It's very difficult to sit down and describe yourself in, 3 to 4 sentences.
Dating sites give you a picture and a paragraph. At eHarmony, we do the matching for you based on 29 dimensions of compatibility. And right now, you can log on to eHarmony.com and review your matches all for free. Aren't you curious to see who you're compatible with?
Love is pure joy.
eHarmony.com. Log on today.
Are you a movie freak? You should go to Vongo.com. Vongo.com.
Download hit movies instantly.
Shake and then bake.
All for only $9.99 a month.
You even get your first 14 days free.
Vongo.com. Instant access to hit movies for less than $10 a month.
Little seasoning.
Sign up now at Vongo.com. Oh, and hurry.
beautiful Garden of England, known as Kent. We're south of London now, bound for Canterbury. The gap is still over 5 minutes as 5 men try to be the first down to the bottom end of the country, chased by the whole field in the Tour de France. So far, the sprinters are not getting things their own way. Well, one of the teams in the race is T-Mobile. It's now run by the American Bob Stapleton, and one man on that squad rides for the Isle of Man and T-Mobile in his first Tour de France. His name is Mark Cavendish. The team are on a high.
I think it's a lot harder than the traditional flat first stage of Tour de France. It's actually quite surprising, you know. Some of the roads are relatively thin and short climbs. For sure it'll be a sprint, but it'll be hard. And the roads are really heavy. It's quite undulating, and I don't think it's going to be easy at all.
It's actually quite hilly here, with narrow lanes. You have to ride very carefully. You cannot win the Tour here for sure, but you can lose part of it.
It's the biggest bicycle race in the world, you know. It's what every young rider aspires to ride. And with it being in London this year, it's brilliant, you know. It's going to provide such a big base for cycling in UK, and hopefully encourage more people to get out on their bikes.
Yes, no Jan Ullrich, of course, now. They're now looking for a new identity here, and Michael Rogers, the man they're looking for as the top man in Paris. Mark Cavendish, they're looking for today at just 23 years of age. Only he's quite 23 yet. He's out now to try and win the stage in his first Tour de France. Oh, sorry, that's it. That's his bib number 23. He's actually 22 years of age, Mark Cavendish. This is a new team trying to establish itself. Axel Merckx saying goodbye at the end of this race. He won't even race into the rest of the season. Back with the field now, and these are the narrow lanes they were talking about, because the riders almost queuing up to get through. Well, always looking at the narrow roads, Paul. The riders are a little bit surprised to find that Britain has plenty of these beautiful country lanes, because many countries, of course, have a road from A to B and not a lot else. But in Britain, being a very old country, we've got roads in every direction. And the one man who must be getting a bit nervous in there is Mark Cavendish now on T-Mobile, because he's a rider who knows that if given the right run at the finish, he has the speed in those legs to make a dream debut into the Tour de France.
He's a man with a very big track background. He's got that track knowledge that riders like Stuart O'Grady have had, and he will know exactly how to position himself when it comes down to the final sprint. I don't think T-Mobile will try and make a big train for him, but they, I think, Phil, will try and put a situation and try and help him to be at the front, take advantage, for example, of the train which is probably going to be set up by Tom Boonan's team from Quick-Step. But Cavendish, with that track savvy, will know exactly how to put himself in the right position and look for the gap down towards the end.
We can only hope for Mark. Right now we're on the Côte de Goudhurst, or Côte de Goudhurst, or Goudhurst Hill. There's the USA flag on the left, and here comes the cavalry right down the centre, as everybody just wants to get on television right now. I don't think it's the top of Alpe d'Huez, but I could be excused, I think. Is that snow or cloud up there, Paul?
Somehow I think that's cloud at the top of Goudhurst Hill, as these riders now. And for David Miller, he's in first position. He's now going to have to be very attentive. He wants to get himself maximum points if he wants any hope of trying to get himself. And now there's a surprise move.
This has come from Freddie Bichou. Decided he's not fast enough to beat these guys, so he's gone early. And they weren't ready for that one. Hats off to the Frenchman. It's still a little bit of a sprint. Miller's got a good position tagged onto the tail, but I think he's going to be beaten by the boys who've got a little bit too serious in the sprint now. And Bichou has gone for this, and he's not going to get it, because it's going to be the Liquigas rider, Kuzinski rather, who's gone over the top of him. And I can't see Griff go, so he must have fallen back. Well, this is a good result, I suppose. Kuzinski got 1 point last time, so he's got 4 now. And he's been dropped again. Well, what about that? They've underestimated our little hills in the south of England, Paul.
I think they certainly have underestimated the climbs here, and you can see that there's another move going from the rider from Agri-Tubel. He realised that he'd started it off, and unfortunately for him, this is an interminable hill down here in the south of England.
Yes, because there's no big banners on the 4th category hill. They're not too sure where the top is. And Stefan Ogier, there's the banner up the road, might well snatch the points here, but I think Freddie Bichou done the right thing. First Tour de France for him, and on his very first full day of racing, he grabs points in the King of the Mountains. This time he's well beaten, and they've given up now. he can have a little rest. Look at the crowd on the climb of Goudhurst Hill. There is the line, no banner, but there's a definite line, and he's got it. Freddie Bichou gets the points. Rather spoiled the perfect day for David Miller, that.
I tell you what, though, that hurt. You can just see as he crossed the line, he's already gasping for breath. He really put himself into oxygen debt there. I think he thought this was going to be one of those sort of Breton climbs, which is around about 1 kilometre long. But this climb was getting pretty close to 2 kilometres. Here is the other Frenchman in the breakaway coming clear, Stéphane Auger. He's coming up to make it 2.
Yes.
David Miller actually seemed to be under a little bit of pressure there when the accelerations came.
Just wish our camera would look back. David just got 1 point. That might be enough to give him the King of the Mountains. But the tailwind there on another new flag. That was the flag of Flanders flying there with the black line on it. And indicating a tailwind up the climb. Good spin. Very famous hill in club cycling down in Kent, Goudhurst Hill. Now seen it, I'm going to make sure I never go there on my bike.
Well, I think 1 or 2 of these riders wish they hadn't gone there on their bikes either, because it was quite explosive, the acceleration to get up there to the top.
Well, that was tremendous as the peloton dropping back a little bit there, 5:46. And Miller's come through our picture in 3rd frame. We'll have to wait for the results, but if he got the point, it might be the difference. He didn't. Kuzinski got the point there. So that's going to mean at the moment Kuzinski has got 2 points. Miller has got 3. And that all's well with Bichou, who's also got 3. So they really need to stay away now to Tenterton Hill, which is still about 11 miles away. So that might be touch and go. If they can contest the hill at Tenterton, that will certainly decide who goes in tomorrow in the polka dot jersey. The Côte de Goudhurst. See, we're talking French now on verses, or Goudhurst Hill, as we might say down here in Kent. And so they're going to have to get themselves organised now again and get on with the chase. Well, while they're doing that, let me suggest to you now we get ready with our subway trivia question. Okay, who was the last British rider to win a stage of the Tour de France? There's a good one. Was it A, David Miller, or was it B, Sean Yates, C, Roger Hammond, or was it D, Paul Sherwen? We'll tell you when we come back after the break. Start telling me.
I hear you're still looking for me.
Born? On August 3rd.
Why did you come here, Jason?
Someone made me what I am. And I'm gonna find him.
Bourne comes home.
He has our entire playbook. Names, dates, ghost sites.
What makes you think he's gonna put it together?
It's Jason Bourne. He already has.
Eliminate the threat.
The Bourne Ultimatum.
I remember everything.
World Team Tennis on Versus. Next week, Pete Sampras and the Breakers take on Anna Kournikova's Capitals. Next Sunday at 11:30 on Versus.
I need it.
À Paris, quand un amour fleurit, ça fait pendant des semaines, le cœur qui se sourit, tout ça part sur une scène. À Paris, au printemps, sur les toits, les girouettes tombent et font les coquettes. Avec le premier rang, tu passes indifférent, nonchalant, car le vent.
Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop. Bicycle Village has Colorado's largest selection of bikes, from tandems to trikes to top-end bikes. All the best brands and the largest selection. Over 1,000 bikes set up and ready to ride from the brands you want, like Trek, Specialized, Raleigh, Lightspeed, and more. Only Bicycle Village offers same-day bike service to get you back on your bike quicker. Plus lifetime tunes and an unbeatable performance guarantee on every bike we sell. And we always guarantee the lowest prices. Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop.
Are coming to France for one reason.
He's still got fight in him.
To sprint, climb, sweat, bleed, fight. To be the one pure champion. The real drama continues. The Tour de France. Stage 2 live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. on Versus.
welcome back. Well, there was the question. Who was the last British rider to win a stage of the Tour de France? Miller, Yates, Roger Hammond, or was it Paul Sherwen? Well, I hope nobody said it was Paul Sherwen, because any second now we're going to tell you it was David Miller, and he might be the next one too if this breakaway stays away today, although as always we have the feeling they'll reel them in, possibly in sight of the finish, and we'll have a bunch sprint, but we'll see. So there's the backs of the peloton as they now come into Goudhurst Hill themselves. This should be very interesting, Paul. Maybe not the same ripper up Goudhurst Hill here. You found the rule there.
Yeah, well, the rule basically says that, as we assumed, as it always has been previously,
GC.
They go back to the number of wins, the number of second places, etc., etc. But if all else fails and everybody's
and it has
the
at
same,
the moment on these two climbs,
then it is the overall classification,
which would be the higher placed of the two, and it is David Miller.
But bear in mind, there's another climb to go, so it might be a little bit more complicated.
Indeed,
because there is the final climb of the day with still a further 3 points to be won on Farthing Common.
Indeed. Well, this is Goudhurst, a beautiful Kentish town as we see it in all its summer glory. The crowd here, and many of them cyclists, of course, who will have climbed this hill many times, are now seeing the great Tour de France come by as they go through Goudhurst, and the Church of St. Mary the Virgin on the right there, and the flag indicating they've got a crosswind at the moment. A little bit of help required here. This is CSC's rider Kurt Attel-Arvesen, former under-23 world champion, just off to the right of our picture, winner of the Cape Argus Pick and Pay cycle race in Cape Town. 5.5 minutes at the moment.
Well, I think the King of the Mountains competition is certainly going to go down to the final climb of the day. Another 3 points available at Farthing Common. At the moment, David Miller is likely to be the wearer because he's the highest placed man in the overall classification.
And big Jens Voight, those thighs tapping out the tempo. I think they've done it on every continent in the world. We've seen him do this in Australia, in America, where he's also won races. I seem to remember winning in Pennsylvania on one occasion. And also Jens often racing in Britain when he gets the chance, all over Europe, of course.
Well, Jens had a fantastic season last year, had 14 victories on the circuits, and always in aggressive style. He's not a guy who will ever hold anything back at all. Now he's not thinking about himself, he's thinking about the man in 7th position in that line of CSC riders, the one in the yellow jersey, Fabian Cantilara, who yesterday produced one of the most phenomenal time trials of his career, to add, of course, to his World Time Trial Championships.
Still holding them at bay here. If you can hear banging coming out of the television, it's because we're commentating from the finishing line in Canterbury, and all the bands are out now with the sun in the finishing straight, entertaining what is a very large crowd waiting to see the finish of the Tour de France. There's the arrowhead we often talk about. When you see the arrowhead, it means that the race is in full flight. The long thin line of the team of the race leader, everybody else scrabbling to take shelter from the wind, where they say you save 30% of your energy if you're not breaking through the wind at the front of the bunch. And it's always the team of the man with the race leader who have to do the chasing. The reason being, nobody else will help them. The gap is just over 5 minutes at the moment.
Going to have to get themselves organised fairly shortly, I would think, because they are seeing the miles tick away and start to be reduced in numbers.
Now the crosswind indicating that it's coming from left to right of our picture as it's put them over to the right of the road. Fabian Cantilara, remember, the winner yesterday. He just got inside. Terrific beating by 13 seconds of Andreas Claude and George Hincapie of America, taking third yesterday. Fraction of a second ahead of Bradley Wiggins. And those are the time gaps when they started out this morning. Nearly 2 minutes covering the field. 5 riders in the lead. The peloton at 5 minutes. The passive face of David Miller. He's won 3 stages in his career of the Tour de France, 2 time trials and 1 road race. He won his road race down in Béziers. And the field's still working out how to bring him back. All right, well, as we watch these 5 riders setting the pace, it's time for Bicycling Magazine's Tour de France stages you can't miss. And we're talking now stage number 2, Dunkirk, France to Ghent in Belgium, which will air tomorrow, July the 9th, of course, here on Versus. We're off to Belgium. Enjoy it. Don't forget Bicycle Magazine brings cycling to life with bike and gear reviews, fitness training advice, top cycling destinations around the world. The August issue on sale now, or go to bicycling.com for more. We're off to Belgium tomorrow. These boys will not be thinking of Belgium right now, not even the boat trip that's going to welcome them out of Folkestone in a few hours' time and take them across the channel to Calais, where they'll spend the night in Dunkirk, which is about 20 minutes by car away from Calais, but still on the same ocean, or still on the same channel. And then they'll restart from Dunkirk, where Christophe Moreau won the Prologue there a few years ago, and riding this race in his jersey as champion of France. Won the title last Sunday. 4 3/4 minutes, just dipping inside, 50 miles to go. About 47 miles from the finish at the moment. They're going to have to react pretty soon now. They can't allow this to run much further. We're heading down to Tenterton, and the last time bonus sprint of the day, followed by the last climb of the day and the big finish up front. See you in a moment.
People always talk about light. My favourite light is the first light of day.
Here with home run champ Ryan Howard. Everyone knows Subway restaurants for tasty low-fat subs.
Like this 6-cent Subway Club.
Make it a foot long, and it's still less than half the fat of a McDonald's Big Mac.
But the real surprise, it's got twice the meat. Fills me up so I can hit the long ball.
Less fat.
More meat.
Less fat.
More meat.
You know, your defense is really underrated.
Oh, thank you. But still, more meat.
The delicious foot-long Subway Club. Less than half the fat of a Big Mac.
With twice the meat. It's what I call a fit foot long. Subway. Play hard.
Eat fresh.
That's a terrible toss.
This summer, get the sunblock that also blocks the bite. Bullfrog Mosquito Coast Sunblock and Repellent. Up to 8-hour protection against harmful rays and pesky bites without the odor. Bullfrog Mosquito Coast. Block the burn and the bite.
This summer, Versus is bringing the stars, the stripes, the painkillers. It's gonna be a red, white, black, and blue summer.
It's just something that you're either willing to accept or you're not.
The toughest athletes are gonna dish it out and take it on the chin. The competition is on, and the cost of victory is paid. The Versus red, white, black, and blue summer. The suffering continues.
Pain's a good thing sometimes.
All summer long.
There's been a crash here. What on earth happened there?
A touch of the brakes and you go down very hard indeed. It is so dangerous in the front end.
And this is another crash. A massive pile-up again.
This has been the day of the crash.
There's been a crash here. What on earth happened there?
The yellow jersey's gone down.
The first week of the tour is hectic. I mean, there's guys crashing all around you.
You probably come close to crashing half a dozen to a dozen times.
The riders are out there being super aggressive, and it's scary.
When you're a sprinter, you think you're gonna take it easy, but when you see the finish line, you're just getting crazy up here, and you have no fear.
Oh, there's been a crash, and a major pile-up there as the riders go through.
In the first week of the tour, the finishes can get pretty hairy and a bit dangerous.
You know, there's a lot of yelling, there's a lot of elbowing, there's a lot of fighting.
Use the elbows, shoulders, scream sometimes, push the riders.
You just got the crowd just making such a huge noise. You know, you're trying to listen out for your teammates if they're around you.
To avoid those crashes in the first week of the Tour de France is a combination of good luck and good management.
It's important to just stay focused, and you know that's the thing for most of the new guys that come to the tour. They're in shock after a week. They can't believe how crazy it is because there's really nothing like that.
Oh, ouch. Well, it's not something we like to see, but that's the dangers of the first week of the Tour de France, and it does make good television. You can't deny that. We've lost one rider already with a crash today. Nobody saw him crash on television cameras at least, but he's hurt his shoulder, and Eduardo Gonzalo is the first rider out of the Tour de France, and he's a first-timer in the Tour de France. So that's the situation as far as crashes go. Right now we have 5 riders out front. The gap is coming down, but not very quickly at the moment. 42 miles still to race. We're looking out here across the oast houses of Kent. This is the famous beer making and hop growing area, of course, as the flag indicates there. A tailwind for the moment Well, we've lost poor old Gonzalo with the crash today, Paul. He's hurt his shoulder. They don't say he's broken it, but he's certainly gone to hospital, and we didn't see the crash. That's always the danger, though, isn't it? Then the sprinters are the boys who live with that fear every day of their life.
Yeah, but also the riders who want to win this race overall fear the crashes in the early stages, because you can lose any chance of winning a 3-week bike race with a silly crash on one of these opening stages, which is why there's always a battle to stay at the front end of the peloton. And one man who, over the years of his 7 victories, always managed to avoid any serious crashes by basically riding almost the whole of the Tour de France in the first 15 places, and that was Lance Armstrong. And that's why we've seen Team Astana looking after Alexander Vinokourov at the front. We've seen a lot of the other teams keeping the team leaders. Rabobank have been looking after Dennis Menchoff to keep him in the first 15 to 25 places, because in theory that's the safest place in the bunch.
Well, it was, of course, in 2003, Levi Leipheimer who got written out the script with a massive pile-up in a sprint soon after the first couple of days of the race, and he was quite badly hurt. He's back now, of course. He's the American favourite here in the race, and looking for a quiet period, if he can get it, if you can have such a thing, for the first 6 days of racing, because 7th day takes us into the Alps. There we have right at the back of the group here now as we head towards Tenterton here. And for a change, nobody knows this road in Kent, because there's nobody standing on the side. And a chance for the riders here to have a quiet journey through the Garden of England, heading for Tenterton. That'll take us to 62 kilometres to go, putting Tenterton now probably 5 or 6 kilometres ahead of the group, which still looks pretty good, and they're all still working away together. 3 minutes 44 seconds the gap, Paul. It's coming down, and then it holds for a minute, and then it comes down again.
Well, I think the general move now is that gap is going to continue to come down all the way towards the finish. I'm expecting to see these riders caught at around about 25 kilometres to go. The general consensus now, I think, in the main field is they've sent 1 or 2 different riders to the front end of the peloton, and the reason for that is because, of course, Crédit Agricole, Team Quickstep, and very shortly I think we'll see some riders moving to the front, of course, from Team Predictor Lotto.
The pristine gardens here. Hats off to the chief gardener in Sissenhurst Castle, because this looks wonderfully pristine. And this is one of Great Britain's most famous gardens, by the way, and it is, or was, a Tudor residence. It was acquired in 1930 by Vita Sackville West and her husband Harold Nicholson, and they live here now. And what a lovely home.
Well, whatever you mention the name of Vita Sackville West, the name of Virginia Woolf is never far away, and she was very well known.
5 riders clear, 3:38 the gap, inside 70 kilometres to go. We can hoist, well, we can start putting the Scottish flag on the petard, but we mustn't say that, because I think we'll find that the race will chase them down. It's only a question when they start. The best thing that could happen right now is for this breakaway to hold clear until Farthing Common, and if Miller can get 1 point more than Frederick Bichou, the rider leading through at the left of our picture there, then he will be the outright and clear leader for the King of the Mountains tomorrow, pulling on the polka dot jersey for the first time since Robert Miller, who was also a Scot. No relation, by the way.
No relation at all. But Robert Miller was rather good at the slightly higher mountains of the Tour de France, and Miller was in fact one of the great competitors in the Tour for many years, and has the highest ever finish of a British rider in the Tour, finishing in 4th place overall. And in theory he should have been a winner of the Vuelta a España if he hadn't come up against the Spanish Armada and ending up finishing in 2nd place overall.
Well, the average speed for the race today, 26 miles an hour, 42 kilometres an hour. It's pretty quick. Flashing light there, indicating from the race director nobody is allowed. And there is the bustling little town of Canterbury. We could be in Normandy, couldn't we? But we're not. We're in Great Britain. We'll see you back here in a moment.
Sono Paolo Bettini, sono campione del mondo e campione olimpico. Chiedo il massimo dalla mia bicicletta. Voglio che sia rigida, leggera, bella e precisa, ma più di tutto che sia veloce. Questa è la mia bicicletta. I am Specialized.
life doesn't have one dimension. Neither should your beer. The rewarding taste of Michelob Ultra. Perfectly balanced and made for today. Live life to the ultra.
You here.
Hey!
Thanks to the Good Times 75-cent all-natural beef Bambino burger counter, we know exactly how many Bambino burgers we're selling, which is quite a few. What we don't know is how many individual customers that represents. Some buy 3-packs, some buy 5-packs. It could be there's just one of you out there eating all of these. If that's true, send us an email or something. You deserve a Good Times hat. Maybe a t-shirt. We're gonna be big.
Here are 7 great reasons to visit Subway restaurants this week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's the $2.79 daily specials from Subway restaurants. A different, fresh, delicious regular 6-inch Subway sub each day for only $2.79. And to make your daily special even more special, make it a fresh value meal with a drink and your favorite Frito-Lay chips. The $2.79 daily special from Subway restaurants for a limited time. So hurry in and have a great week.
Well, the tornado that blew in outside Buckingham Palace yesterday, we gave him a name. We called him a fabulous Cantilara. What a great ride that was. Well, we're back with the race here, and now there's Johan van Sommeren moved up into second place, Cedric Vasser in third, and the rider who's Laurent Lefebvre, I think it is, who's just come up to the front there as well. And so this is a little bit of a workaway now for these riders. Oh, sorry, it's Anthony Chateau who's got on the front, made a name for himself this year, so I should have recognised him because he won the Tour de Langkawi. As this group now and the sprinters teams have now come to the front. So Chateau's been told to give a dig for Huschoft. Tom Bonen has come up here, has sent up Vasser, and McEwen has sent up Van Sommeren. Well, while we look at the boys here, let's have a little link back to the start and see what Frank Angio says to Cantilara.
First of all, congratulations for yesterday. You won a prologue a couple years ago. Did this year's win feel a little bit differently for you?
Yeah, it's strange and different feelings, it's true. Yesterday I won with big pressure, the whole world was looking at me, and to win this shows something very beautiful for me.
I saw you have the yellow pedals on your bike. Was this something that you had thought of, or the team?
There was the mechanics. I have a few yellow things. The most important thing is the jersey. I have golden sunglasses. I have a special personal watch. And then now the pedal, and I have to wait still on my helmet.
It's a full package, and so we're coming into the first day of the Tour. Your plans on protecting the yellow jersey, as the team talked about the strategy?
Yeah, I do my best. I'm going to show how my condition is really. I do defend the best that I can for this thing, and I don't want to give back easy this jersey.
Congratulations, good luck.
Yeah, well, there you have it. The yellow helmet, by the way, was issued because he's riding in it today, so he's totally yellow. The yellow peril of the Tour de France, Fabian Cantilara. But the gap is coming down now because the sprinters' teammates have moved to the fore. It's inside 3 minutes, but we're still not too far to go. Cantilara will be happy, I think, Paul. He's seen the sprinters send a few men up now to try and lift the pace. It's beginning to register. We're inside 3 minutes, the gap now, 2 minutes 50 or so. And coming down quite quickly now. As in the lead, I can hear the train here. So we must be very close to Tenterton, I think, as this will be the Kent and East Sussex Light Railway. Yes, I do love trains, and that is magnificent.
Well, the Tour de France, whether it's going through the Alps or going anywhere else in the world, it always seems to find itself an old steam engine.
Well, it first ran for Passioners back on the 2nd of April in the year 1900. So that was around before the Tour de France. By only 3 years, the Rother Valley Railway was born as a result of all of this. And he must have got up a fine head of steam to keep playing with his whistle like that. Well, the peloton are now taking this a little bit more serious now. The time has come to reel in the 5 boys out front. And I think they will. I don't think we can hold out any hope they will survive. They don't believe there's any hope they can survive because 3 major teams with major sprinters now, McEwen, Bonen and Thor Hushoff, have sent their team mates to the front to give CSC a hand and bring them back so that one of those 3 can win the day. That's the theory, and as I say, it doesn't always work out, but that's the theory.
That's the theory, and I think the theory will be respected here once we get down to the finish line. But for the leading group of 5, they have survived for the final sprint point of the day as the riders make their way into the outskirts of Tenterden. There is a final bonus sprint point as well. Miller has been been completely successful so far. He's taken both of them out on the road and grabbed himself a 12 seconds time bonus to be deducted from his overall time in this race. And I think he'll be trying to look to see whether or not he can grab the next 6 seconds as well. 500 meters to go for the sprint. Miller just moving himself into an ideal position to try and grab this one.
I think he's going to make a move for it. He's going to follow Bichou, who's becoming his rival in this breakaway here. But watch out for Grivko, who's lining up just behind him. He's in his 3rd Tour de France. 156 Kaczynski. He's in his 1st Tour de France and won't believe that there's crowds like this all the way around the route every day. Miller's got himself in the hot seat now. Not the best place to be if you want to win a sprint. But we're into Tenterden here now, and this is one of the beautiful towns here in Kent. Usually a very busy, bustling town. You would take a long time to get down this road on a normal day. But not today in the Tour de France. Bichot's opening up and Grivko heard him coming. Grivko's tried to push him over to the barriers, but Kaczynski's gone through on the other side. Miller says, I'm having none of that. Go and fight it out for yourself. Kaczynski wins it, and then I think it was probably Bichot in 2nd place, with Grivko taking the 3rd.
Well, just looking at that massive sprint there, I'm a little bit surprised. Maybe Miller is starting to weaken after putting a lot of effort in the early part of this breakaway. But that sprint, I have to say there, Phil, I can only imagine that they were sprinting it out for the money, because these riders are a long way down in the overall classification. And there really is a phenomenal crowd here on the side of the road, probably better than we've seen in many, many years.
And to herald the approach, there we go again, the Kent and East Sussex Railway. And Thomas the tank there is wanting to get across the road and go off into the railway station, but he's not being allowed to move right now.
Well, I think
French and British flags on the smoke box there.
The main field, if you start to look at the way these riders are moving, there's a lot of nodding heads starting to appear in this peloton. The fatigue is starting to creep into the bodies. These riders from Team Barlow World at the back here, they're just making sure that they're taking on board drinks and water. That was Giampaolo Ciulla at the back there, number 213. This is Anthony Chateau on the fronts from Crédit Agricole. We haven't seen him since the Tour de Langkawi.
That's absolutely right, and they'll get them all back together, I'm pretty sure about that. But the pace is upping now. It's been a very high average speed today for the first day of the Tour de France, 26 miles an hour, 42 kilometres. And it's all been done virtually by initially one man and then by these riders. There's confirmation. It was, as we saw it, Kaczynski, Bichot and Grivko. So they get the bonus points. But I think, you know, Paul, Miller was holding back there because he wants the King of the Mountains if he can hang on to 20 kilometres to go at Farthing Common. It's going to be... So just watching the breakaway here. Remember that Levi Leipheimer, we heard from him early in the programme, is just going to try and get through today, I reckon, because it's nothing that likes to come in the next week when Levi will be called in. He'll be our big profile when we come back after the break. This is the man we'll be talking about, Levi Leipheimer, the great American favourite for this year's Tour de France. And believe me, he can climb. See you in a moment.
Now to come back to Discovery and then be able to lead this team is a dream come true.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on in the turbocharged 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi. With all the storage space you need, an estimated 30 miles per gallon, and a starting price under $29,000, you're closer to owning a jet than you think. Saab, born from jets. Log on to Versus.com/fly to the finish for your chance to win a 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi and a new Cervelo bike.
Special Agent, when can you get back on the road?
Hey, I'll show you. When Esurance policyholders get their cars repaired at one of Esurance's certified body shops, they can monitor repairs online 24/7. I'll be back on the road in no time.
Visit Esurance.com today.
Introducing Accelerate with Protein. Proven to increase endurance up to 29% over your old sports drink. So while others fade, you can stay strong. Don't fade. Accelerate.
Final boarding call for flight 423 to Paris.
On va partir, mon amour.
Oh, ma chérie, ce mécano répond.
Hate goodbyes? Get the new BlackBerry 8830 World Edition smartphone.
De rien.
From America's most reliable wireless broadband network. Fully loaded and ready to work around the block or around the world. Verizon Wireless. It's the network.
When I passed the finish line, I saw his blood coming out.
Yellow jersey has gone down.
I got really scared, so I just lay down on the ground, lift my arm up. That was a scary moment.
Everybody has a plan until you get hit. When some guy knees you in the face, you're not thinking about what your trainer told you. You're not thinking at all. All those hours you spent in the gym don't prepare you to fight. They prepare you to fight back.
Enter the ultimate pose-off at CaptainMorgan.com.
Drink responsibly.
Jerome Bettis? Call me the bus. If you want to go the distance, you need something tougher.
Mobile Clean 5000? A synthetic?
Nope, it's conventional. The only one guaranteed for 5,000 miles.
Most car makers recommend oil drains beyond 3,000 miles. That's why tougher men demand Mobile Clean 5000.
Going the distance, like 13,662 career rushing yards.
You're a lucky man.
Mobile Clean 5000. Seriously tough oil.
Welcome back. The last 35 miles of today's stage from London down to Canterbury. Stage 1 on the highways of the Tour de France, and we're on British roads here. The peloton now in angry mood. The sprinters who think they've got the man to deliver the day have sent their team to the front now to start driving, and it's having quite an effect on that breakaway. As you can see now, the gap is down to 2 minutes 19. That's the latest gap on the 5 riders. Now, let's not forget there are 6 Americans riding the Tour de France this year. George Hincapie can manage a sprint as well and might well try to take something out today. Let's have a look at them. That's where they stand after yesterday's prologue. George was the best, taking 3rd place. And David Zabriskie, we thought he might have won yesterday, but slipped away in the end to 11th. Levi Leipheimer, whose long-term strategy on this race, he finished in 26th place. Van der Velde there is in 75th on Team CSC. And the top 5, well, he's the lead-out man, Freddie Rodriguez, for Robbie McEwen. But let's have a closer look now at Levi Leipheimer. He's our athlete profile as a possible winner. Well, there he is, Levi Leipheimer. 2 days in yellow last year, gave it away. This time, no mistake. Well, there it is, Levi Leipheimer. He gets his 2nd win of the year.
Well, I never would have achieved 20% of what I've achieved without Odessa. We met back in 1997, and ever since, my career has really gone in leaps and bounds because she supported me.
It's weird, you know, that because we work together, and in a way I kind of work for him because he's got to be the boss. He's the one that knows the training and, you know, the when and the where and the how much. I'm just kind of, you know, support crew.
Yeah, Odessa, she motor paces me a lot, and I've had other people motor pace me, but never quite as smooth as she is. She's been doing it for so long that she knows exactly what to do.
But I've been doing it for 9 years, I guess. I've been motor pacing, so I'm getting used to it. It's still stressful.
I think if you have ridden a bike a lot or raced a bike, you understand the momentum. She paces me perfectly.
I'll never forget the first year we went to Spain. We were there for a long time, and I came home. I was crying because I was so happy to be home.
And I'm comfortable here. I know the roads. I know exactly how long this ride takes, how long that climb is. I have all my resources here. So for me, I'm the most comfortable at home, and I can get the most out of my training here. When I was on U.S. Postal, I felt like there was a lot of leadership there. Really, that leadership is second to none. My goals remain the same. I think it'll be easier for me to achieve them now that I'm on Discovery Channel. For me, the strongest team in the world, so that gives me more motivation.
Yes, what a great rider, what a great partnership for Levi Leipheimer. Now he's 33 years of age, he's set for this race. He's coming a little bit under form, I think, on purpose, because he wants to bring his form up for the mountains. He's got the performances, 6th in 2005, 9th in 2004. That's a man who knows with the right bit of luck he can win the Tour de France. Back to the action of today. He's not appeared, of course, thinking long term. These are the 5 leaders in a spot of bother right now. 2 minutes 9 seconds, Paul. A little bit of disarray here. The boys are feeling the pressure now. Quite understandable at 34 miles or so, 55 kilometers.
3.5 hours in the saddle. It's starting to hurt a fraction now, and you noticed it was Kuczynski and the lime green of Liquigas that pulled them all back together. But I think you can see that the cohesion has disappeared from this group now. They're starting to lose it. The body's starting to get that little bit pained. And we're probably looking at not very much more than an hour and a quarter, hour and 20 minutes to the finish. So it's getting to the very important part of the game when the leading group of 5 know that the writing is pretty much on the wall for them. It's a question of when will they get caught, not if they will get caught.
Well, I know that Davy Miller would love this to just hang on out there until he gets to the last 20 kilometers or 12 miles. Oh, there's been a crash. Oh, that's been quite a prank. Now, I don't know how that happened. Or can it? It looks like the breakaway. Oh no, it's in the peloton. Same riders, but it's in the peloton. They've hit a, and there you can hear it there, and that was a nasty break there. Because the rider going down there for Team Milram was in fact Brett Lancaster. That's Brett Lancaster of Australia, who is on the right hand. Well, we've been talking about the crash. We've lost one rider early today, but that is by far the worst fall. That's a shame.
Well, Lancaster is up. Just he looks okay, Lancaster, but that's what it's always about. The first day on the open road, Phil, the guys are all very nervous indeed. And the central islands, the directional islands used for controlling the traffic, are not very handy for bike racing on the open road either. And that's what's making cycling much more dangerous all over Europe.
Well, that is very, very sad. Nobody's fault. Christian Moreni is the rider in red trying to get through there, but that has happened in St. Michael's, I think the town is, where it's happened. I'll be a little bit further down the road here, near Betherston. But look at this at the moment. This is Xavier Zandio. We thought it might have been Alejandro Valverde, but it's his teammate who's gone down. It hurts whoever you are, but it's less important for the team.
I would like to hope that Alejandro Valverde is riding at the front end of the main field. Let's not forget he was robbed of a chance of vying for a high finish overall last year in the Tour de France when he crashed it very early on and broke his collarbone. And in fact, poor old Valverde on that occasion, just about 12 months ago, Phil, was actually riding in around about 25th position when that crash went down. So unfortunately, it happened at the front end of the main field on that occasion, not at the back.
Obviously, the riders did not cite that central obstruction there as they were splitting for it. It was padded, as you saw, but Brett still managed to land rather awkwardly. Brett, the fastest rider in the world in 4,000 metres in team pursuit, holds the world record. Oh, and that's a replay. I nearly jumped out my skin again. I looked up and saw another crash. I'm sorry about that, everyone, but I thought that was the replay. That's Brett Lancaster landed very awkwardly. Zandio on the ground nearest camera, and the other faller here was the rider from Agri-Turbal. I couldn't quite see his face there, but I hope they're okay. I think they were. You probably heard the crowd applaud as the riders rode off, appreciating the situation of the day. 2:26. Now it's time to get matters put to right. You can see his arms already started to bleed. Now this is why cyclists have to be tough. There's no taking the rest of the day off or the rest of the week. You have to not only finish every day of the Tour de France, you have to finish within a very strict time limit, otherwise you're eliminated.
Well, you have to get right back into it as well, and you can't spend, especially when the main field is starting to chase, you can't spend a lot of time on the ground trying to think about whether you're hurt or not. The most important thing that goes through your mind is get back onto the bike and get going. And it looks to me as if the Case d'Epargne team themselves there, the car also had a little bit of an accident, but it hasn't got a back window in it. And I wonder if there's been an accident out on the course involving that as well.
Well, if it wasn't there, then that might well be the Eduardo Gonzalo situation, because of course if riders are behind cars and they slam the brakes on, that's the result. Happened to Davis Finney and Les Bastogne many years ago. Very spectacular and very ugly looking crash. Happily to say, Davis Finney was able to continue to race later on.
Yeah, but he had a large number of stitches, I think, on that occasion. I think we're talking about 140 stitches Davis Finney had to have on that occasion. Yeah. And he still wanted to get up and carry on with the race. And that's the important thing, that a lot of these riders, as long as they feel that nothing's broken, they want to get back into the race. That's their first thought.
Absolutely. Well, we've got over that fright. Now we can get on down, we hope, with chasing down the 5 riders, or at least continuing the pursuit. Brett Lancaster was in the race to lead out Alessandro Petacchi in the sprint. Petacchi not here. His asthma cure has offended international doping regulations. 320 nanograms, too much they say, and it looks like he's going to get suspended for a year because of that, which I think is a little bit of a paranoid reaction to all of the drugs in the sport right now. There's the crash again. We don't want to see too many of them. And there's Brett Lancaster really taking a hard sit down. We'll take a break.
My computer and I go everywhere together. I keep all my photos in here. Design ideas are forwarded to me from Paris, Milan, and London. I love taking underwater photos too and emailing them to my friends. With my Happy Hearts Fund, we raise money online to rebuild schools. I feel blessed to have survived the tsunami so I can help others.
HP Pavilion DV2000T with Intel Centrino Duo mobile technology.
G'day, I'm Stuart O'Grady, part of Team CSC. And I'm riding the 2007 edition of the R3. It just seems to float across the cobbles. The faster you go, the easier it seems. It's definitely the best bike I've ever ridden.
I know where he's heading. Don't worry, I'll be there.
Now playing at Sea-Doo.com. They're crossing the country, dropping in on the biggest names in the business, searching for the next mixed martial arts badass. All new episodes of the original series from the producer of American Chopper and The Ultimate Fighter.
Where he lives, baby!
Tap Out. Wednesdays beginning August 1st on Versus.
I needed. While other kids were playing games, Jenny was building sandcastles. No one thought she'd ever live in one. Except for Jenny. Go inside the world's most extreme homes. All new series. Mondays at 9 on HGTV.
Looking for your next home? Not quite what you had in mind? Visit homes in the newest communities across Colorado without ever leaving your sofa. Just press 888 on your Comcast digital remote. Then go to Real Estate on Searchlight 888.
Invented by a U.S. Navy SEAL and made with steel and a ball-bearing movement, it's the push-up perfected. So here's the deal. The perfect push-up is only 2 payments of $19.95. When you order, you'll receive 2 perfect push-up rotational handles, and you'll also receive the Navy SEAL-inspired perfect push-up workout chart. You'll be ripped in no time. Get big fast. Call right now for the perfect push-up.
Call 1-800-579-3143.
Tour is hectic. There's guys crashing all around you in dangerous corners. It's scary at times, but it's important to just stay focused.
If you look at Canterbury Cathedral here, now don't forget Saab Watch and Win sweepstakes. The word you need today when you go to versus.com to play is Fly Saab. Blue skies over London. If you'd have seen the city of London a couple of weeks ago, we all needed water wings, and the Tour de France comes to town, and we are in a beautiful, beautiful conditions. 5 riders regained composure again at the front after a little bit of a flurry, and the crash has helped them to a degree because the chase is hesitating a little bit now. That says a lot for the great riding of these boys up front today. It's been a long, long day in the saddle. The race starting officially at 11 o'clock from Greenwich, South London. They've now been riding 3 hours and 40 minutes. And they are just, 30 miles or so outside the finishing line in the city of Canterbury. 49 kilometres. They're looking a bit tired now. I don't blame them. This is Kuzinski at the back in his first Tour de France, looking down. A little bit of disorganisation now, and this is how the two riders up front, and Auger again, who's appeared to be tired, has gone once more with his French partner Bichou.
Yeah, but I think the sad thing is David Miller seems to be paying for the rapid effort that he made in the first hour of racing, and he's been caught out with Grifko. Now, let's not forget Grifko was the man who was in difficulty when we went over the last climb, the climb of Godhurst. And it seems to me as if David Miller is about to disappear from the front group, and although he was very inspirational early on, I think he's losing his mark.
Well, they sensed that this breakaway was losing its composure, and the two French riders decided to see just what's going on. And the answer is they've caught Miller and they've caught Grifko, and they're both going to sit back. The Tour de France doesn't end today in Canterbury, as those riders well know, and if you're feeling a bit tired, time to enjoy what you've done and get back into the relative comfort of the pack, because that pack will travel into town at 60 kilometres an hour, and it may even be too quick for Miller and Grifko when they do catch up with them. So we'll see. But this little trio here getting themselves back together, so it's reduced now to Kuzinski, Bichot and Auger.
And Miller has decided to call it a day because he sat up, throws away the bottle there. Grifko, and they're going to sit up and now and wait for the main field to catch them. The reason he's doing this now, Phil, is because he realises that the legs are starting to weaken. It's no good trying to destroy yourself, because this is, after all, really only day one on the open road of a 3-week bike race. And if you're not going to win, don't waste any energy.
The team cars of the boys up front coming by, as David Miller calls it best. If the leaders don't stay away till Farthing Common and Miller does finish in the peloton, he will be the leader in the King of the Mountains tonight, and he will make the podium. But if Bichot, who's gone into the breakaway, stays away to Farthing Common, whatever he gets over the top of the hill there will be enough to give him the lead.
Well, he needs to stay away for another 27 kilometres, but if you keep glancing at that clock at the top of the screen there, you'll notice that the, in fact, time gap is slowly but surely going in the wrong direction for the breakaways. We're now down to around about 2 minutes advantage over the main field. And although they've gained a certain amount of impetus, there will be an increase in the impetus in the main field behind as well, because the sprinters will start to be licking their lips. They'll start to feel hungry. They'll start to feel the excitement of getting into the last hour of racing.
Chance to look at the superb machinery these boys ride, as they've all got 10 rear sprockets on the cluster there, and 2 front wheels, chain wheels, that gives them a 20 different gear peddling ratio. Now you see the colours at the front are not CSC, but these are the teammates of the sprinters setting the pace now. 1:56. Well, that's the sort of gap now, which is, I think he's going to come down pretty quickly now, because they will know that the breakaway is in disarray here. And the Miller's biggest problem now is to hang on. He's up to 3rd overall at the moment because of the small time bonuses he's picked up out on the road. But he's got to finish with the peloton to move into that position. And more importantly, I think he wants to try and pull on the polka dot jersey tonight. Now it changes the faces at the front, little flick of the elbow. Who's coming through? Anthony Chateau as well. The sprinters are out now. They've got their bird teeth. We'll see if they can catch up.
When I took the job, I had every ambition that one day I would rule the world. I had no idea that first I'd have to circle it. About 10 times. Making the sale makes me jump out of bed in the morning. I just have to remember where I am that day. I work because I'm driven. I work to close the deal.
Whether it's a job or a career, when it's right, it's a passion. Go to monster.com today and find the job that works for you.
Monster works for me.
Here's to men
to guys who want to spend more time having fun and less time in the men's room, to guys who want to go less at night. And here's to Flomax. In 1 week, Flomax may relieve male urinary symptoms due to BPH, also called an enlarged prostate. Flomax may help symptoms like frequently waking up to go, going often, weak stream in 1 week. Only your doctor can tell if you have BPH, not prostate cancer. Common side effects of Flomax are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Upon standing, a sudden drop in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. So when starting Flomax, avoid situations where injury could result. If considering cataract surgery, tell your eye surgeon you've taken Flomax. Could you feel a difference in 1 week? Call 877-4FLOMAX and ask your doctor about Flomax. Flomax could make a difference in 1 week.
189 of the world's greatest cyclists are coming to France for one reason.
He's still got fight in him.
To sprint.
He's taken no chances here.
Climb.
He blew the race apart.
Sweat.
Nice show of determination.
Bleed.
Oh my God!
Fight.
What a finish!
To be the one pure champion.
Where does he find the strength from?
The real drama continues. The Tour de France. Stage 2 live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. on Versus.
There's never been a better time to ride off with an incredible deal at the Yamaha Model Year-End Sales Event, with huge incentives on a wide selection of Yamaha ATVs, motorcycles, and Rhino side-by-sides. So see your Yamaha dealer before time runs out. Now get payments as low as $69 a month for 24 months, plus up to $300 cash back.
Want a 4-star hotel at a 2-star price? Go to Hotwire.com. When 3- and 4-star hotels have unsold rooms, they use Hotwire to fill them, so you get them at prices lower than any other travel site, guaranteed. Like 4 stars in San Francisco, Travelocity price $219, Hotwire price just $102. Why risk paying more when Hotwire gets you unsold rooms at deep discounts? Hotwire.com. 4-star hotels, 2-star prices.
HOTWIRE, Hotwire.com.
Save big on car rentals too, from $13.95 a day.
Yes, welcome back to the Tour de France, racing towards Canterbury today. The British flag flying there, the Union flag. Oh, and that's the catch of David Miller. He's just been brought back. We saw him sit up. We knew it was inevitable. He's just come back into the group with Grifko. Now he's got to get in that group, stay in there, finish with them, and hope that Bichou gets no points on the next climb of Farthing Common. If all that works out, he'll be the leader in the King of the Mountains tonight. It's Cedric Vasser for Quickstep and Tom Bonen, who's doing the pacemaking at the front. Johan van Summeren behind. He's doing the work for Robbie McEwen. He's got a teammate who I can't see, has come up behind to help him as well. And Anthony Chateau has come up for Crédit Agricole. And the ever-reliable Stuart O'Grady for CSC, I beg your pardon. And, of course, for the yellow jersey, he works for Fabian Cantilara. Back up with the 3 remaining riders in the breakaway. There's the latest gap, just dipping inside 2 minutes. They are being quite defensive here. Just 44.7 kilometers left to go, about 27.5 miles to the finish. It is not a long way. Bichot is on the right. In the middle is Kuzinski on the front. And he looks absolutely worn out, Stéphane Ogier. If he looked like that all day, and he's proven us completely wrong, he's feeling all right.
He's still there, but let's never discount the fact, Phil, that in fact he is a Frenchman in the Tour de France, albeit on British soil. There's another problem at the back there. I didn't quite catch who that was, but somebody stopped very rapidly on the right-hand side of the road for a quick wheel change.
Inside 2 minutes now, and there's a flat tyre on the far side of the road. Not Robin McEwen this time, but a valuable teammate.
It was Leif Hoster.
Leif Hoster. First Tour de France for Leif Hoster. He's changed teams to Lotto. Never got to ride when he was on the Discovery Channel team. And time to get back in here, because he's a useful man when it comes to bringing McEwen up towards the action. So he'll want to race back up as fast as he can, wasting energy, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, he's also going to have a very hard ride back into the main field. There was a very quick change. There's Ashford International Railway Station. There's the Eurostar. Not very far away from the continent now, are we?
To make our friends from France feel at home. La Gare d'Ashford, as this is the main terminus here now for Ashford, as the riders here, as the Eurostar comes through here. It's the first stop out of London, usually the only stop out of London, of course, and sometimes they even end here. Specially built, these trains travelling at speeds of 300 kilometres an hour. So looking down there at the Ashford railway station, here we have the brakes over the top. Now, of course, the Tour de France is not the only thing happening, so let me remind you about the world's most extreme sport, and it's just got more extreme, and this August things will heat up inside the cage with a full night of World Extreme Cage Fighting live from Vegas, August the 5th, plus the WEC's Best Battle every Wednesday on WEC Wreckage, followed by all new episodes of the uniquely original series Tap Out, and all that this August on Versus. As we close in on the face here of the Liqui gas rider Kuzinski in the breakaway, as the finish closes in, and the boys have not got up to the three leaders today just yet. This is the beautiful city of Canterbury. It's a tranquil place, isn't it? A place the riders are going to make it a quite turmoil in just a moment.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on in the turbocharged 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi. With all the storage space you need, an estimated 30 miles per gallon, and a starting price under $29,000, you're closer to owning a jet than you think. Saab, born from jets. Log on to Versus.com/fly to the finish for your chance to win a 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi and a new Cervelo bike.
I heard that.
We'll leave the light on for you.
This summer, get the sunblock that also blocks the bite. Bullfrog Mosquito Coast Sunblock and Repellent. Up to 8-hour protection against harmful rays and pesky bites without the odor. Bullfrog Mosquito Coast. Block the burn and the bite.
World Team Tennis on Versus. Next week, Pete Sampras and the Breakers take on Anna Kournikovas Capitals. Next Sunday at 11:30 on Versus.
Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop. Bicycle Village has Colorado's largest selection of bikes, from tandems to trikes to top-end bikes. All the best brands and the largest selection. Over 1,000 bikes set up and ready to ride from the brands you want, like Trek, Specialized, Raleigh, Lightspeed, and more. Only Bicycle Village offers same-day bike service to get you back on your bike quicker. Plus lifetime tunes and an unbeatable performance guarantee on every bike we sell. And we always guarantee the lowest prices. Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop.
Coming to France for one reason.
He's still got fight in him.
To sprint, climb, sweat, bleed, fight to be the one pure champion. The real drama continues. The Tour de France. Stage 2 live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. on Versus.
Welcome back. The Tour de France racing towards the finish in Canterbury, the end of stage 1, and a long ride today of 203 kilometres. That's about 126 miles. Yellow jerseys on the front of David Miller now, because they want to bring the breakaway back. A change of tactics, because they want to keep Miller as leader of the King of the Mountains tonight. There's the field down there, wide open road just for the moment. The peloton now just 1 minute and 18 seconds behind the three leaders. Inside of 40 kilometres or 25 miles to go to the line. Interesting that Sonia Duval, Miller's teammates, he's told them to get to the front, bring back the three leaders, otherwise Frédéric Pichot will be the leader of the King of the Mountains. Well, it's been a long day of racing today. It all began back in London at 11 o'clock this morning. Let's remind ourselves of what has happened. The race, of course, has spent 2 days in and around London. We're now racing toward the coast. Then we start our long journey into Belgium as we make our way down through the Alps, across the bottom, up through the Pyrenees, eventually back home. But today, we're on this stage. We leave from London, round due south along the bottom, finishing back in Canterbury, and we're just about 25 miles from the finish. That little hill, the Côte de Farthing Common, a fourth category, might decide the race today, who knows. But right now, it looks as though the Soin Duval are insisting on help from other quarters of L. Now, there's no way these guys will keep up the race as we proceed through the town of Kingsnorth. They're doing pretty well. Paul, I want you to jump out of the commentary box, get the name of those three on the left, and see what we can do with them as professional cyclists. So they're enjoying a moment here.
I think they've just gone into oxygen jet. I think they hit the wall.
How long did they last?
Well, about 500 metres.
That's good enough for the shown talent. Well, these boys now, the cream of the world of cycling, 189 of them, already 4 of them rather pained by falls today. 1 minute and 5 seconds. Miller has sent 3 men up there. 2 have come off the front now. But this is now uncontrollable, this chase. They're going to catch him.
And don't forget, of course, they've got young Francisco Ventoso on their squad as well, who's got a very fine sprint, won 3 stages of the Tour of Castilla y León in the early part of the season. I think, though, the reason they are riding is for the chance of getting Miller that King of the Mountains classification. That's an important classification, which, in fact, not only could he keep it tomorrow, he could keep it the next day on the road to Compiègne, because there's only one 4th category climb on the road to Compiègne as well.
And every day you wear a leader's jersey, by the way, you get money and not just the jersey, so it's always worth it. Just looking here at the jerseys of Robert Miller. I have to say, didn't I, who was the great British climber and the only man to podium in front. David Miller is the man we're talking about, of course, today. And you know, there's £1 million or a couple of $1 million on offer in the Tour de France over the whole 3 weeks of racing. And if David Miller can get into that polka dot jersey, there's cash every day you pull it on your shoulders for retaining it and defending it. Of course, every little climb has prizes over the top, as well as does every sprint, and all of the riders across the finishing line each day. So that's how they build up their bank balances, by tradition and by the arrangement with the teams. It's a rider who wins the money, but it doesn't get it all. It goes into the team coffers, and the split will be decided by group team meetings before the race has started. There's many combinations. One, for example, will be 50% for the guy who won it, 50% into the coffers for the workhorses behind. If you win the Tour de France, very much by tradition, you don't keep any money. You give it all to your teammates because you know that you will go on to become a multimillionaire by endorsement.
Well, if there wasn't any wind in the early part of the stage, it's starting to pick up into a little breeze, and the riders for the moment, Phil, will be picking that up as a slight tailwind or a cross-tailwind, and that will push them up to much higher speeds, although it is going to be a very tricky finish, because on the slight incline up towards the finish line, the riders have got the wind right on their noses.
Well, a tight fit around the narrow Kentish lanes here, as the riders continue to try and bridge just a gap of around about 1 minute now to those 3 leaders. Now we've lost the riders completely here, but of course I think they'll be brought back now. A minute is not much. They start to sense we've got some wide roads to come. Remember that we've heard from Levi Leipheimer already, and that's on a long-term future of winning the Tour de France. But today, very shortly now, I reckon it is going to be all about the sprinters. So let's ask Robbie McEwen what he thinks about that. Oh, I beg your pardon. No, we're going to tell you all about that when we come back after the break. And there he is. Robbie always keeps the best secrets till the last, the Aussie flag. We'll see you in just a moment.
I know what I'm doing. I don't make room for people who are going to get in my way. It's law of the jungle. That's how I sprint.
Hey, I'm Bob Bloomer, your glutton for punishment. And I love my cervello as much as I love food.
Still have the wind damage to your house on your mind? One call to Farmers Help Point could fix that. Farmers Help Point. Sanity makes a comeback.
Reggie Bush here with my boy Jared. And the delicious turkey breast and ham. Half the fat of a Whopper. And a lot more food. Fills me up without slowing me down. Helps me train in the off-season. Well, in my line of work, Reggie, there is no off-season. Yeah, well, in my line of work, Jared, you don't get 10 texts to get it right. Subway. Eat fresh.
This is the final boarding call for Flight 423 to Paris.
On va partir, mon amour.
Oh, ma chérie, ce n'est qu'un au revoir.
Hate goodbyes? Get the new BlackBerry 8830 World Edition smartphone.
De rien.
From America's most reliable wireless broadband network. Fully loaded and ready to work around the block or around the world. Verizon Wireless. It's the network.
When it comes to our everyday activities, some of us use more energy than others. But we can all be more energy efficient. You could change from regular light bulbs to Energy Star Compact Fluorescents. Just imagine how much energy we'd save if this whole city changed bulbs.
Exactly!
Brought to you by Disney Pixar's Ratatouille and the Department of Energy. To read up on more tips,
You read?
Well, not excessively.
visit www.energy.gov.
This summer, Versus is bringing the stars, the stripes, the painkillers. It's gonna be a red, white, black, and blue summer.
It's just something that you're either willing to accept or you're not.
The toughest athletes are gonna dish it out and take it on the chin. The competition is on, and the cost of victory is paid. The Versus red, white, black, and blue summer. The suffering continues.
Pain's a good thing sometimes.
All summer long.
Welcome back. Two French flags flying over the field of London here. The one on the left is Brittany. Often the Bretons don't count themselves as French. They're their own people. Now look at this here. Moments ago, we saw Levi Leipheimer stop for a natural break. The man in front of him, Jaroslav Popovic, took his chance to go with him. They've both got them back on the bikes. We're talking the last 30 kilometres of the day here. Two teammates have been just ordered back, and now they're having to race back up to the peloton. Well, two of the best riders in the Tour de France choosing a very, very difficult moment to stop behind the race. But they're getting back, no problems, of course. They've got great strength. But that is a show of great confidence, I must confess. There's life on the bandwagon here as the Union flag flies along with the French and the English flag. Well, you can't get more diplomatic than that, can you? As we now look at 20 miles more or less to go, and inside a minute. Still a great show of defiance here by Freddy Bichot. It's almost as if he deserves to be the king of the mountains. In all honesty, this man has had a great day out in the saddle. There's the Team Discovery channel. Yes, you are right, by the way. They have changed the colours just for the Tour de France, infiltrating the green here, and the environment is the big thought as they've got green flashes on their jerseys now. Let's have a look at the leaders here up front as we see them slowly but hopefully will stay away. Now, we've always talked about the sprinters winning today. At the moment, we're being proved totally wrong. It might still happen. Let's remind ourselves how it all worked out last year. Robin McEwen was the winner overall from Eric Zabel and Thor Hushoff, who won it the previous year. Bernard Eisel, Luco Paolini, all except Paolini are in this race this year. Robin McEwen is the man who will try to start off well today. So who better to talk to at the start of the day this morning?
I was born as a sprinter, so I'm made to win the flat stages, winning a mass finish and a sprint finish.
Robbie McEwen takes it on the line. That man is unbelievable.
I describe my sprinting style as explosive, aggressive, but not over the line. I know what I'm doing. I don't make room for people who are going to get in my way. It's law of the jungle. That's how I sprint.
Robbie McEwen is forced to the line and takes it. That's revenge for you.
Robbie's fantastic at positioning. He's got, probably the quickest punch sprint out there.
He's a smart sprinter. He's small. He's always finding good spots, and he's really fast.
Robbie McEwen's one of the best sprinters in the world, if not the best. I think he's the best pure sprinter, for certain.
It doesn't matter where he's positioned, elbow fight his way through and, you know, just pop out at the last minute.
When I go into a race that's you know, a couple of 100 kilometres long or more, I break it down into little pieces, and I try not to think too far ahead. Make sure you're conserving energy when you can. You're eating, you're drinking, you're not wasting energy. And you get into the last kilometre, and then it depends on your actual tactic. If you're going to use your own team to try and form a train, like we call it, or you'll follow somebody else and their team, and then try and derail their train at the end by letting them take their sprinter to what they think is the ideal place, but coming out of his wheel, out of his slipstream and passing by and taking the win.
McEwen is going to win this again, and Boyd has made another mess of it. Bobby McEwen has done it again. I don't believe it. That man is something else.
Yes, he certainly is. Well, it wasn't this morning we talked to him. It was actually a couple of days ago in his hotel, but there's the facts and figures on him. In fact, he's won nearly 180 races in a career which started 12 years ago, back in 1996. Getting on a bit now. He's 35 years of age, or 34, almost 35. And so you'll find out now that Robbie has still got those twitch fibres that deliver the blows at the finishing line. At least that's what he hopes today, but we're still not together yet. Just looking at the latest time gap, Paul, 28 seconds. The catch is now imminent, and it's coming before the climb for sure now.
Well, it's coming before the climb, but I tell you what, a half a minute in 10 kilometres. If the main field slowed down a fraction, Freddie Bichot has got himself a very good chance. He's going up there, he's talking to all the other riders, encouraging them, saying, come on, let's keep this going, let's not give up. They know they're going to get caught, but Freddie Bichot wants to get caught after the top of this climb.
Well, they're not going to surrender. They're going to be wiped out, but they're not going to give up. They're going to make the race come right up to them here as the French gendarmes warns of a hazard ahead. These three riders are scurrying for the points. They're not thinking of the finishing line in Canterbury. Bichot just wants the finishing line of the climb of Farthing Common. As we look at the church of Saint-Jean-Baptiste, which will take us to the town of Mersham here. Another beautiful town here in the English Garden of Kent, and we're not far before the catch. We're not far before Farthing Common. I don't think I can. Yes, we'll guarantee you we won't miss either, but we'll take a short break.
My computer and I go everywhere together. I keep all my photos in here. Design ideas are forwarded to me from Paris, Milan, and London. I love taking underwater photos too and emailing them to my friends. With my Happy Hearts Fund, we raise money online to rebuild schools. I feel blessed to have survived the tsunami so I can help others.
HP Pavilion DV2000T with Intel Centrino Duo mobile technology.
Introducing the biggest stride in sports drinks in over 30 years. New Accelerate with protein. Proven to increase endurance up to 29% over your old sports drink. So while others fade, you can stay strong. Sweat smarter. Don't fade. Accelerate.
Jerome Bettis? Call me the bus. If you want to go the distance, you need something tougher.
Mobile Clean 5000? A synthetic?
Nope, it's conventional. The only one guaranteed for 5,000 miles.
Most car makers recommend oil drains beyond 3,000 miles. That's why tougher men demand Mobile Clean 5000.
Going the distance, like 13,662 career rushing yards.
You're a lucky man.
Mobile Clean 5000. Seriously tough oil.
I needed.
Ricky. The new Subaru Outback with road-gripping all-wheel drive, low emissions, and a price starting at just $21,995. So anyone hearing the call of the wild can answer.
Lease a new 2007 Subaru Outback for $0 down and only $249 a month at Flatiron Subaru in Boulder.
While other kids were playing games, Jenny was building sandcastles. No one thought she'd ever live in one.
Except for Jenny. Go inside the world's most extreme homes. All new series. Mondays at 9 on HGTV.
Looking for your next home? Not quite what you had in mind? Visit homes in the newest communities across Colorado without ever leaving your sofa. Just press 888 on your Comcast digital remote. Then go to Real Estate on Searchlight 888.
Oh, the Eiffel Tower is 3 weeks away today. It's still a long way to go. And this rider here, Stefan Ogier, is trying to do something about it. And they're still trying to scurry to the top of this small climb known as Farthing Common. And the field are just a hatful of seconds behind them now. Look at it, 17 seconds for the leading riders. I think it's all over now. There they are in the distance. Well, Farthing Common. Little climb in Kentport. Who would have ever thought it would carry quite such a significant part of the weekend in the Great Britain roads, British roads?
I think this now is tilting to the advantage of David Miller because Stefan Ogier has decided he's going to take it clear, and it is amazing how that things can change in the day on the Tour de France, because early on this young man looked like he's in serious difficulty. I thought he was going to get dropped on a number of occasions. He's ridden through that bad patch that he went through, and now he's looking very strong. There you've got it. David Miller, I think, now can breathe a sigh of relief because these two riders are very rapidly back in the fold.
6 kilometres from the top of Farthing Common. Bichot, who could have been the king of the mountains in his first Tour de France, has just gone back into the field now. The boys in yellow might well shut down now. They've no reason to do this as far as I can see anymore.
Well, they've still got the possibility of course, Francisco Ventoso has been a pretty good sprinter in the early part of this season. Job done #1 is pulling back Bichot. He's back in the fold, and they will keep working. I would expect them to get some assistance now from Tom Bonin's team. You can see the dark blue jerseys of Quick Step. They're not very far away from the front. They're waiting for the time when they need to start whipping up the pacemaking.
Well, 27 seconds. They've caught the two they wanted, so the gap immediately has opened up a little bit. Just on 16 miles from the finish, 26 kilometres to go.
This is not too good for our man David Miller, actually, because Stefan Ogier got himself a couple of points at the top of Godhurst Hill, and he got himself 2 points, and he's lifted it up to 29 seconds advantage. So if he goes over the King of the Mountains point in first place, well, it's sorry for David Miller, but goodbye.
Miller will have to win from the peloton. Simple as that to keep his jersey. Very complicated, isn't it? So the yellow boys are now on the climb here of the mountains on Farthing Common, and they might still lose this because that man is spoiling the fun. He was the man that was chasing David Miller. Couldn't catch him on his own. He was joined by the others, and together they eventually caught Miller when he waited for them. And now it looks as though he survived the best of the 5 as he heads up towards Farthing Common. If he goes over the top first, he gets 3 points, adding to the 2 he's already got, gives him 5. And David Miller has 3 after the first climb, so he would not get the polka dot jersey tomorrow. So Ogier, who's only had 1 win in Cholet today. Let's remind ourselves, though, that tomorrow it's stage 2 of the Tour de France, when the race goes across the English Channel and into Ghent or Gand in Belgium. It's another flat stage, of course. There's no mountains at all tomorrow. The sprinters are sure to battle it out. Stay with us. We're live at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and our extended coverage at 8 p.m. And that's when they bring you everything you didn't see in our live coverage on the Tour de France. That's all on Versus tomorrow. Great games. And this rider, trying to spoil the fun, leans into that corner with a massive crowd there as he gets around the bend. 32 seconds. He's actually pulling out again here and still finding the strength to ride away. And that is the sign of 25 to go. So he's still got 5 kilometres to survive here. That's a tough ask, I think. But you don't know. Nobody's helping Sony Duval. They're doing the job of the sprinters right now. But they've also, as Paul has said, they've got Ventoso on there. This is going to be a great day. Can he stay away to the finish? It's a tough one. We'll know soon.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on in the turbocharged 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi. With all the storage space you need, an estimated 30 miles per gallon, and a starting price under $29,000, you're closer to owning a jet than you think. Saab, born from jets. Log on to Versus.com/fly to the finish for your chance to win a 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi and a new Cervelo bike.
I don't even think about pain. Pain's just part of the job. Inflicting it, taking it. When you step into the cage with me, you know you're gonna walk out hurt. If you walk out at all.
Horsepower is here, and no leading synthetic oil delivers more power than Q Horsepower. Unleash all your horses.
Enter the ultimate pose-off at CaptainMorgan.com.
Drink responsibly.
Just one ride on the Yamaha Grizzly 700 Fi with power steering, and you won't ride anything else. That's because it's the world's first ATV ever with fuel injection and power steering. For a ride so comfortable, you have to feel it to believe it. The Grizzly 700 Fi. One ride, and you won't be comfortable riding anything else.
Welcome back to the Tour de France as we try to reach Stéphane Ogier. He is still away here, narrow lanes as well, and sending more troops up to the front in yellow, because if Ogier gets that point over the King of the Mountains, well, 3 in fact, he'll be a clear leader as far as Miller is concerned in the King of the Mountains competition. All of those advertising banners indicate you're on the climb. What's happened here? Riders stopping here. I'm just wondering, the road surely isn't that narrow. There's somebody actually adjusting his bike from Rabobank right in the middle of the road there. And I think that we have a rider who has flatted on the far side. It is a rider from, well, it's not Popovic, no, it is Noval, Benjamin Noval. And Kurt Attel Arvidsson also had a flat tyre. Well, that's amazing. The road was so narrow, I think we've had at least 3 flat tyres at the same time. And because the road is so narrow, the riders have brought the field to a standstill. That can only help the breakaway at the moment. Little bit of a preoccupation here. Arvidsson has got a long, lonely road now because we're running into the last 20 kilometres or 12 miles of the day. Meanwhile, up on the front here, riding up towards Farthing Common Summit, is Stéphane Ogier. It would be the biggest moment in his life as a cyclist if he can survive to the points he needs. That's why he's not giving the thought of Canterbury a single moment in his mind. He just wants those 3 points at the top. 13 miles to go. We're at 12 miles to go. That's where the line is drawn across the road as we tug our way up Farthing Common here. And 29 seconds, so he has been helped by that stoppage. Sometimes forces other than bicycle races are on your side, I think. Well, he's stamping away on Farthing Common here. He's about a kilometre, well, he's about a mile from the top of the climb, Paul. It's amazing.
He has found something very special. All he's got to do is just to get over the top of this climb, but I think the little bit of drama at the back there was Robbie McEwen was involved in that accident, and Robbie McEwen is chasing with a couple of teammates, trying to get himself back into this race.
Well, we don't really know what happened back there. Riders changed wheels, but it might well have been a tumble of 4 or 5 riders in that narrow road. And unusual for Robbie McEwen to ever get involved in a tiff like that. He's nearly always brilliant bike handler. But this now is Stefan Ogier. He's hoping he's going to have the greatest moment of his life here, because he's never worn a leader's jersey of any colour in the Tour de France. And if he keeps on, this is what's happening here.
Another problem at the back here. This is Mark Cavendish, who's also had a bit of a problem with his bike, and he's actually shouting at the side of the road there. The team mechanic is up alongside him.
He's got to stay calm. He's got to stay calm. They'll get him away quickly. Now there's a problem with the front wheel. No, that was I think that was a replay, wasn't it?
That's a little bit of panic for Mark Cavendish there. He's got to stay calm and get back into this race.
But this is Ogier making his way up to the front. Mark Cavendish has had his problems at the back, and Robbie McEwen has had his problems at the back. 5th Tour de France for Ogier, and he has never had a leader's jersey. Now, the problem, whatever's happened in that lane, Paul, we've had McEwen stopped. We think it was a fall. We don't know. We've had riders change tyres. The polka dot jersey tomorrow will be worn by Stefan Ogier.
It might not be. David Miller is on the front end of the main field trying to get himself second place. If David Miller in the yellow jersey gets himself second place there, he's going to be equal on points to that man.
Well, there was a Sonia Duval rider there. Now, we don't know if that was Miller. Paul, is this the first or the last day of the Tour de France?
I'm not really quite sure.
If that was David Miller at the front, and it looks like it was, because there he is swung back now. There was 2 Sonia Duval crossed that line together. He's got the lead.
Well, we're going to have to wait for the judge's decision. I did see the last time we caught a very quick glimpse of the front end of the main field. David Miller setting the tempo. But let's not forget, you can see now Team Quickstep getting themselves organised. I need to know right now, where is Robbie McEwen, who was off the back with a couple of teammates chasing to get himself back into the main field? Where is Mark Cavendish, the Team Mobile man who was expected to do well in this sprint? He is off the back. Stefan Ogier is going to be back in the main field any moment now. There he is, and he will wonder, he will want to know. He's trying to talk to the team manager, who got second.
Well, we're waiting to find that answer as well. And what's this, a bike change again for Mark Cavendish? Well, the problem wasn't solved. Well, welcome to the Tour de France, Mark. It's your first day of a road race section of the Tour, and at the most crucial stage of the race. A man who could win today for the Isle of Man is now having to fight back into the race at just 18 kilometres from the finish. Ogier has gone back into the pack. It's blue skies overhead. It's blue jerseys on the front. Cedric Vasser now racing for Tom Bonen of Belgium. Miller got second. Miller's on the podium tonight. We just hear it, in fact. So it is all good news for one British rider and a lot of wasted effort for another right now.
Well, that was really bad luck for Mark Cavendish. First day out on the open roads. I'm sure he was nurturing thoughts of trying to get himself a victory. Even if he does get himself filled back into this main pack, he's going to have a very sore pair of legs. This is the train behind for Robbie McEwen. Look at McEwen there, just sitting behind his teammates. They have all dropped back to try and pace Robbie McEwen into the main field. Robbie McEwen has now got less than 12 miles to get himself back into the main field. And will he then not only be able to get into the main field, but get to the front of it?
Serious look on Robbie's face right now, but it's the man has won 176 bicycle races since he turned pro in 1996. One of the fastest men ever in the world of cycling, and the second biggest winner in the current professional cycling circus. 17.5 kilometres to go. The peloton being led by the boys in blue. And these boys in blue are thinking only of Tom Bonen now. And poor old Mark Cavendish, 22 years of age he is, and here he is trying to fly the flag for Great Britain on this last day in England. And he's having all sorts of nightmares at the back of the field, but so too is the Australian Robbie McEwen. A little bit farther for him, away from his home in Brisbane in Queensland, although he has another home in Belgium, in Breakaway.
So it all comes down to what is going to be a very, very exciting finish today. The peloton even taking time out for a fall and a couple of punctures. It's all happening on day 2. Paul O'Mark, we'll see you in a moment.
Hi, my name is Fabian Cantilara, and I told you a little bit something about the R3 bike. I was so happy to have it last year on the race, and it was the first time I had a bike like this. A lot of people, they say it's the best frame in the world. And
when it comes to our everyday activities, some of us use more energy than others. But we can all be more energy efficient. You could change from regular light bulbs to Energy Star Compact Fluorescents. Just imagine how much energy we'd save if this whole city changed bulbs.
Exactly!
Brought to you by Disney Pixar's Ratatouille and the Department of Energy. To read up on more tips,
You read?
Well, not excessively.
visit www.energy.gov.
I know where he's heading. Don't worry, I'll be there.
Now playing at Sea-Doo.com.
They're crossing the country, dropping in on the biggest names in the business, searching for the next mixed martial arts badass. All new episodes of the original series from the producer of American Chopper and The Ultimate Fighter.
Where you live, baby?
Tap Out. Wednesdays beginning August 1st on Versus.
While other kids were playing games, Jenny was building sandcastles. No one thought she'd ever live in one, except for Jenny. Go inside the world's most extreme homes. All new series. Mondays at 9 on HGTV.
Looking for your next home? Not quite what you had in mind? Visit homes in the newest communities across Colorado without ever leaving your sofa. Just press 888 on your Comcast digital remote. Then go to Real Estate on Searchlight 888.
Catcher can be used to make pasta sauces, healthy desserts, and much more. The Power Juicer is dishwasher safe, so cleanup's a breeze, and the powerful motor is guaranteed for life. Order the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer now for just 2 easy payments of $49.90. And as part of this special TV offer, we'll also send you this amazing recipe guide filled with over 60 of Jack's favorite recipes. Try the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer in your home risk-free for 30 days. If you're not completely satisfied, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price, no questions asked. Call now.
Sure is hectic. There's guys crashing all around you in dangerous corners. It's scary at times, but it's important to just stay focused.
Welcome back. These are the crowd waiting in anticipation for the arrival for the first time in Canterbury of the Tour de France. There is the finishing line. The crowd is mild as the skies are still blue. The threatening rain, but is scheduled to come in after the race is finished today. And the riders are flying now towards the finish. McEwen is in trouble trying to catch up. So too is the British sprinter Mark Cavendish. Now down there somewhere in the crowd is our Robbie Ventura. Let's see what he's got to say to us. If you're there, Robbie.
We're here in the final 100 meters of stage 1 heading into Canterbury. I had the pleasure of riding the last 4 kilometers earlier today. It sets up perfectly for the sprinters. It's long, flat, and very fast. The keys to victory today, all about the lead out. Can big Gert Stigmans, now with Quick Step, do for Tom Boonen what he was able to do for Robbie McEwen last year and deliver Big Tom with fresh legs for the final 200 meters? If so, look for Tom to get his first stage victory since the 2005 Tour de France.
Good point there, Robbie. Stigmans, they couldn't afford to keep him in Robbie's camp, and he's gone across to Tom Bonen's camp. It might make the difference today, especially as Robbie's in trouble. 8 miles to go for the peloton. And the pressure is on. Lamprey also coming up now, thinking of their man, Daniele Bernati, who is about right for a big win in the Tour de France. This, on these narrow roads, is going to be a very pressurized few kilometers of racing, I think. And you can see that the shadow boxing going on here as Barlow World also trying to force the way in. It looks like Geraint Thomas might be trying to get into the action from Cardiff. And you can get some idea of the speed at the back of the peloton now as the riders try to keep in touch. This is Shih Tzus hanging on at the back. Well, I've just seen, I'm not sure, Paul, I think that was Geraint Thomas who's trying to get through at the front of the peloton. He rides for Barlow World. We haven't said too much about Geraint Thomas, youngest rider in the race at 21. This is McEwen.
You know, I think McEwen went down in that crash too, because he keeps taking his hand off the handlebars, and if you look at his face, he's not looking like a very happy Robbie McEwen. He's got the advantage of having 4 teammates, but Phil, at this distance, just outside of 6 miles to go to the finish, it's very hard to get back into the bike race. The only way he's going to get onto the tail of the main field is if they slow down around a couple of corners getting into Canterbury.
Robbie is hurt his right hand, wrist or arm, because he just gave a grimace there as he tried to indicate this car was in front of them, the Française de Jeu team car. And that grimace, I think, indicates he has hurt himself. Now, sprinters pull on the handlebars when they sprint for the line. That might make a crucial difference now. Well, it's all happened. We catch David Miller. He gets up there on second place. He gets the King of the Mountains lead. Mark Cavendish has problems with his bike. Robin McEwen falls. The Tour de France always has something round the corner.
There is always a story on every day of the Tour de France, on every kilometre of the Tour de France. In the evening, we're lucky if we catch up with half of them. But I think we've seen most of them here this afternoon, because it has really been a little bit dramatic. Team Quick-Step slowing down a little bit at the front there. You can see the field there, Phil, starting to pack up together. That's an indication there that Robbie McEwen and his boys are slowly but surely getting themselves to the back end of the main field.
And it's a massive chase group. Absolutely massive chase group here. They've got to get through as they continue to go through. Well, don't forget, come on board at Versys.com and play the Saab Watch and Win sweepstakes, because you'll need a keyword once you come on to Versys.com, and the keyword today is Fly Saab. So enjoy the game. And the field here now are really, really going very quick indeed. It's going to be hard to move through the peloton. 10 kilometres to go to the finish. 6 miles on English roads, but it's about the same distance as 10 kilometres. Well, and Robin McEwen's got to bridge that gap. Canterbury Cathedral is ready. The people are ready. There's a huge crowd here, and there's going to be a lot of disappointment that Mark Cavendish, I don't think, will be in the sprint now. But will Robin McEwen be in the sprint now?
Well, the big problem that Robin McEwen has got, Phil, is he's not yet made contact with the rear end of the main field. And I'll tell you one thing, nobody is going to slow down at 6 miles to go to the finish. We've got Daniele Benati's men on the front here in the pink and blue of Team Lamprey. They're thinking about keeping the pace nice and high. But there's a lot of riders in the dark blue strip of Team Quick-Step ready to set up their train as soon as possible. Just looking down the long line there, I'm trying to see in the cars whether or not the group of Robin McEwen has made contact, but no, they haven't. It just caught a quick glimpse. They're still suffering, still trying to get themselves onto the tail of the main field. This is Cedric Vasser, the Frenchman from the north of France, on the front end of the main field. Bram Tankink coming through now to keep the pace nice and high. They don't want any confusion as they get into the outskirts of Canterbury, into the streets of Canterbury. We drove the final few kilometres this morning, and it's a magnificent run up to the line.
It is, and Tom Bonan has sensed that with Robin McEwen off the back, and indeed Mark Cavendish, a rider he would also fear. And I think the reason he's thinking now is, let's keep the pace up, let's keep him out of the race now, let's get on with the job in hand. His team are working overtime here.
You might have noticed also just over on the right-hand side there's a line of pale blue jerseys. That's the Gerolsteiner squad. They'll be looking after their man Forster. He's turned out a couple of fast sprints this season. They'll wait until the last moment. They're going to leave the majority of the work, though, up to Team Lamprey and Team Quick-Step. You can see the movements over to the right-hand side, the red and white jerseys. That's the Team Barlow World. They'll be looking after their man Robbie Hunter. I've seen him a couple of times during the day, but he will be looking for a teammate to try and help him out, and that teammate will be Enrico Degano. Look at the risks everybody's taking, slowing down a fraction. This is the moment before they start to accelerate. We're now looking at just 5 miles to go. Robbie McEwen is still at the back, still not yet made contact.
And he's called 4 of his 9 teammates here to come and try and get him back without wasting energy. But McEwen is an old hand at the Tour de France. He's been in this situation before. He won't panic. He knows he's got 7 kilometres to go. He will not chase himself and waste his energy. He'll let his team drag him back, and Robbie McEwen is back.
The question is now, what he has to do is keep his fingers crossed and hope that there is a slight pause and there's a slight gap, because even if he does make contact with the back end of the main field, he's got to try and find a way through 150 riders, because there's still 150 riders in front of him at a point like this, and that is going to be a very difficult call, because we are now riding at the fastest speed we've been at since we left London this morning.
Well, another tactic is at the front end, you just block the road and nobody can get through. That's all you want. Just look at the pressure here now, and indeed, Quick Step, how really stepping on the gas. A Lamprey thinking Bernardi might have it today. Well, as they continue now, we're running down to the last 6 kilometers of the race, so we will take just one very quick break, and then we'll go with the riders right through to the finish in Canterbury.
Want to see something cool? Motel6.com is the easiest place to book a great room online. See, when you start in the right spot, everything else just kind of falls into place. We'll leave the light on for you.
This is the final boarding call for flight 423 to Paris.
On va partir, mon amour?
Oh, ma chérie, ce n'est qu'un répondre.
8 goodbyes. Get the new BlackBerry 8830 World Edition smartphone.
De rien.
From America's most reliable wireless broadband network. Fully loaded and ready to work around the block or around the world. Verizon Wireless. It's the network.
My computer and I go everywhere together. I keep all my photos in here. Design ideas are forwarded to me from Paris, Milan, and London. I love taking underwater photos too and emailing them to my friends. With my Happy Hearts Fund, we raise money online to rebuild schools. I feel blessed to have survived the tsunami so I can help others.
HP Pavilion DV2000T with Intel Centrino Duo mobile technology.
This summer, get the sunblock that also blocks the bite. Bullfrog Mosquito Coast Sunblock and Repellent. Up to 8-hour protection against harmful rays and pesky bites without the odor. Bullfrog Mosquito Coast. Block the burn and the bite.
It was known as the Tour of Chaos. This year, who'll get it back on track? Alexander Vinokourov, the most dangerous, determined, aggressive, and holding a grudge. Alejandro Valverde has all the tools to win it, if he can finish. Dennis Menchoff, a good rider needs a great team, and he's got one of the best. Levi Leipheimer, new style, new team, and visions of a ninth straight American victory. The real drama continues. The Tour de France. Stage 2 live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. on Versus.
At eHarmony, we match you across 29 dimensions of compatibility. And right now, not only can you log on to eHarmony.com and get your personality profile, you can also review your matches all for free. Aren't you curious to see who you would be matched up with according to compatibility?
He loves me for me.
Visit eHarmony.com and discover what so many singles have found. Log on today and review your eHarmony matches absolutely free. eHarmony.com.
Jerome Bettis? Call me the bus. If you want to go the distance, you need something tougher. Mobile Clean 5000. A synthetic? Nope, it's conventional. The only one guaranteed for 5,000 miles.
Most car makers recommend oil drains beyond 3,000 miles. That's why tougher men demand Mobile Clean 5000.
Going the distance, like 13,662 career rushing yards.
You're a lucky man.
Mobile Clean 5000. Seriously tough oil.
Welcome back. This is it. We've just gone under the 4 kilometers to go banner. The field are virtually all together. McEwen has got back into the peloton, but no sign of him making progress yet. 3.5 kilometers to go. Under that banner, Paul, yes, 3 kilometers to go, and our clock's slightly out today, but that's a GPS system for you, as we're now watching here the men of Tom Bonen, who've done everything to right. Bonen's won 9 times this year. He give them all up for a win in the stage of the Tour de France today, as now they go round these narrow roads, but this race has been so well organised now. 2.7 kilometres, 1.8 miles to go. Lamprey are confident they can take Bernardi to the lead.
Well, looking over his shoulder, the Lamprey rider is looking to see where is Daniele Bernardi. Now we are being left at the front with a lot of dark blue jerseys. Team Quick-Step looking over their shoulders. The man who will fire it up for Team Quick-Step is the man who actually doesn't wear the same colour helmet as the rest of the team. He's wearing a white helmet, Tom Boonen. And these guys now have got to keep the pace nice and high for another couple of minutes. They've still got a good organisation. This is what you call a train in the sport of professional cycling. 4 riders from Quick-Step now. They were peel off as they go over these final few kilometres.
Well, they've done their job. The team domestics are out of the kitchen and working hard here now. They're doing their job for Tom Bonan. Bonan will be just out of our picture. You can't see him, but he's there with the white helmet. He's the last man in the line to be delivered to the finish if he can win. But there's other riders trying to break in. I think that's Oscar Freire, the small figure of Freire in the orange jersey, dodging in amongst the wheels now. And Zabel's team of Milram are coming through.
Well, Milram have got a very good train. They were designed, this train, to look after Alessandro Petacchi, but on this occasion they're looking after Eric Zabel, the old man of the sport, and that's Zabel now up into 4th position. They're going to start climbing very shortly. They're going outside the old walls of the city of Canterbury. They make the sweeper now. Very shortly they'll take a left-hand sweeper with about a kilometre to go, and then they will start to climb up towards the finish line.
A beautiful crowd. It's a lovely day, and the Tour de France is saying its farewells to England in magnificent style here, while the lonely figure of Cavendish will come in by himself. This field has gone through the barriers, and it is looking for a lead out at 1 kilometre from the finish now. It may well be Eric Zabel who will take on Tom Bonan. I still can't see Robbie McEwen from the helicopter, but there is a jersey down there from his team. Now, as we see them come off this banner here, and our cameras have had to move away from us, but that looks as though Zabel is not far away. Zabel is lined up in 3rd place here. Bonan is in 4th place. Bernardi is in 5th place. The big sprinters, and they're waiting for the move, and Foster is in there as well now. Watch out for Hunter, who's also going to have a dig for Barloworld. Robbie Hunter, as he wobbles all over the road now, and they're chasing him down as best they can, but this is going to be a win for Robbie Hunter, or is it? The South African rider is trying to take them to the line here. This would be a tremendous surprise, a wild card team for victory, as Hunter grits his teeth as he gone too soon. Robbie Hunter, Robbie McEwen is coming. McEwen, the acceleration on the middle of the picture. The man off the back is going to win. Robbie McEwen, the man from nowhere. Welcome home. Unbelievable. I don't know, Paul, how on earth does that happen?
That's impossible. What Robbie McEwen has just done, he was at the back of the main field with 5 kilometres to go. He fought his way through that field, Phil. He never gave up. He never thought about giving up for one moment. Look at this picture. You can't even see a Robbie McEwen anywhere at all in that picture. And then all of a sudden, when we pull back, there is the pink jersey of the rider from Predictor Lotto. He was down. He was out. But he's a pro. He's a professional bike rider. He waited till the last possible moment. He never panicked. He kept his calm like a magical poker player.
I can't believe that. Hunter thought he got it. Now let's look at this again. That's Robbie Hunter on the front. Look at the speed of McEwen. Off the back, off the front. Tom Bonan comes far, far too late. Hushoff too. They're all trying to get him. This is the man who is the fastest finisher. He doesn't win by inches, does he?
He certainly doesn't win by inches. He certainly wanted that. Congratulations there coming from Robert Forster as he comes across the line. What a great win.
As they file away now through the cameras, there's the two-arm salute. Is it one of amazement, or is it, hey folks, here I am? As always, McEwen, I make that a win about 178 in his career. But as far as Robbie goes, that was magnificent. And as usual, he'll have a great tale to tell us. There's the finish. Who needs a photograph when Robbie's winning? Because that for him is his 12th ever stage win in a Tour de France.
And I think that was probably the hardest one that he's ever had to come by, because he had to battle to get back into that race. And I know exactly how he had to battle to get from the back of that main field up to the front of the peloton in those final few kilometres. He must have taken incredible risks to pull himself up there. He must have gone up through the inside on a number of occasions, and there is confirmation.
Well, that was unbelievable. And Robbie Hunter, who, if you've ever read the Harry Potter novels, always has an invisible cloak on till he wants to be seen, then he takes it off. And Robbie McEwen there producing an incredible result. He beat Thor Hushoff in the end over Tom Bonan. And Hushoff himself is showing us just what a great sprinter he is when the occasion arises. Well, there he is. The little man with the big heart and the immensely strong legs. He's got a hurt wrist here. How on earth he pulled on those handlebars. The crowd loved Robbie here in London, as they did up at the start in Trafalgar Square. He got the biggest cheer of the night when he came up onto the stage. He doesn't believe he's won. He's just shaking his head. Well, I know that everybody in the United States is watching these pictures and rides a bike and appreciates just the enormity of the achievement tonight when you're off the back You rejoin in a huge group and you get through that pack, and then you come with a run like this and you go over the top of the world's best sprinters, then you've got to tell someone you deserve to be the winner of the stage of the Tour de France. We'll take a quick break, but we're not going far. And there he is, the winner.
Hi, my name is Fabian Cantilara, and I told you a little bit something about the R3 bike. I was so happy to have it last year on the race, and it was the first time I had a bike like this. A lot of people, they say it's the best frame in the world. And
prices they got in here: $8 candy bar, $11 for a can or two. Now it's prices like these that's keeping folks from living the high life. Sir, where's your beer section? Thank you. A good, honest beer at a tasty price. That's what we stand for. Clean up on aisle common sense. Hey, let me grab this. That's how we do it. Get in and out, boy. You just lost your right to sell Miller High Life is what you did.
I work for the challenge, and Monster works for me.
Monster has the most IT jobs on the web. Go to Monster today and find the job that works for you.
Week after week, you've had chicken, and chicken. No wonder you've come down with flavor amnesia. Think back to the last time you had a juicy Johnsonville brat. Remember how they sizzled on the grill? And that flavor, oh, that juicy Johnsonville flavor. It's all coming back.
Honey.
Memories are great.
Honey.
But there's nothing like the real thing.
Nice. I know.
Flavor up with Johnsonville brats.
They're crossing the country, searching for the next mixed martial arts badass. All new episodes of the original series tap out Wednesdays beginning August 1st on Versus.
Hey. Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop. Bicycle Village has Colorado's largest selection of bikes, from tandems to trikes to top-end bikes. All the best brands and the largest selection. Over 1,000 bikes set up and ready to ride from the brands you want, like Trek, Specialized, Raleigh, Lightspeed, and more. Only Bicycle Village offers same-day bike service to get you back on your bike quicker. Plus lifetime tunes and an unbeatable performance guarantee on every bike we sell. And we always guarantee the lowest prices. Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop.
Here are 7 great reasons to visit Subway restaurants this week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's the $2.79 daily specials from Subway restaurants. A different, fresh, delicious regular 6-inch Subway sub each day for only $2.79. And to make your daily special even more special, make it a fresh value meal with a drink and your favorite Frito-Lay chips. The $2.79 daily special from Subway restaurants for a limited time. So hurry in and have a great week.
Coming to France for one reason. He's still got fight in him. To sprint, climb, sweat, bleed, fight. To be the one pure champion. The real drama continues. The Tour de France. Stage 1, next on Versus.
Welcome back, and there is the coast now, so we'll soon be in fact, France, because the boys are catching the boat now across from the White Cliffs of Dover over to France. But what a day we have seen today. Let's have another look at that sprint. I've seen Robbie win many stages of bike races around the world, but somebody said something he didn't like when he left the peloton at that sort of a speed. Look at Tom Bonan bobbing. He had no chance. Hushoff got him on the line. McEwen, and believe it or not, he has a very painful right wrist, and I just hope it is okay. Let's have a look at the Honda ATV stage results. McEwen gets the win, 4 hours 39. Hushoff, these are sprinters. Bonan third. Sebastian Chavanel, well, that was an incredible finish for him. And Romain Feuille, watch out for this boy, because he is a newcomer, first tour, and looks as though he's found his sprinting legs in 5th place there. So that's a good result for him. Not sure we can give you any more. Yes, we can. Robert Foster here, also beaten into 6th place today. Oscar Freire into 7th. Marcus Berghardt, all terrific finishes. Ventoso from David Miller's squad in 9th. A bit further down, Thomas Vakers, by the way, who is the Discovery Channel rider in the sprint. He only finished in 10th place. Zabel 13th. And continuing down the list here, Napolitano 19th. Quinn Ziato 20. Well, what a day it's been for Robbie McEwen of Australia. And let's have a little quick look at just how it all went. It all started to go wrong right here, I think, because in this melee there was trouble for McEwen and other riders stopping with punctures. McEwen was in there, we never saw him, but he kept looking at his right wrist here as he tried to rejoin the race, and he was clearly injured. And then, and don't ask me how, he somehow got back into this peloton at the back and worked his way to the front. It was looking as though it was being set up for a win for Team Milram, Eric Zabel, or for Tom Bonen. But when we got to the finish, McEwen had got to the front, and then came Robbie Hunter, and this rider looks as though he was going to win the sprint of his life here. Thomas Vakers made the move, the big tall man for Team Discovery Channel, and then out of absolutely nowhere, Robin McEwen takes the line. That was a sprint and a half. And if he keeps sprinting on that sort of form, the riders will rethink everything, because it was a very quick finish indeed. And the big thing is, let's hope he hasn't damaged that wrist other than just a bit of pain overnight, because we don't want to see him leave us on the Tour de France just yet. Not when he gives us such a great piece of entertainment like that. We'll take a quick break again because everybody's getting ready for the podiums, and then we'll bring you back for all of the podium presentation. And we'll also, of course, interview Robbie, and we'll talk about the overall. See you in a moment.
Everybody loves a grill sizzling with Johnsonville brats. But it can lead to an awkward social condition called flavor envy. Oh, that craving just can't be ignored. Generous griller knows that sharing a few juicy Johnsonville brats today makes the neighborhood a friendlier place tomorrow. Flavor up with Johnsonville brats.
Someone's about to lose their Stellan Miller highlight privileges. Can I borrow that for a second? Hamburger, $11.50. Are you for real? Step aside, mon ami. Pardon moi. Excuse us. See, this beer is about helping people live the high life. It's a good, honest beer at a tasty price. Mess with the high life, and the high life will mess with you. $11.50 for a hamburger. Y'all must be crazy.